Chapter 252. After the dust settled, Yi Qinghan stood proudly with his frenzied saber stabbed into the ground. He stared coldly at the 10 sage royal tribe cultivators, one of whom was holding a divine martial Dao weapon. The sacred bear king's body was twisted as he bathed in the river of blood. The punch had almost killed him. Yi Qinghan pulled out his frenzied saber and held it with both hands. He forcefully manipulated the force of heaven and earth, causing the heavens to rumble and the laws to descend. The origin of water turned into a water dragon that coiled around the golden body. The dark elemental ultimacy was full of corrosive power as it wrapped around Yi Qinghan. The sharp saber light covered the sky and earth. Trash like you only dares to chase after a 10-year-old child. All of you, come at me together. I'll let you know that the people of the insane sect are not so easily bullied. The 10 sage royal tribe cultivators' faces turned pale. Although they were not the top cultivators in their tribe, any one of them could defeat an entire region. At this moment, they were being humiliated by Yi Qinghan. He wanted to fight against 10 of them. Kid, you're too arrogant. The sacred Lion King's aura exploded and shot up into the sky. The divine martial Dao weapon in his hand exuded a terrifying aura. You want to use the divine martial Dao weapon to suppress me? Yi Qinghan smirked and asked indifferently. I don't need the divine martial Dao weapon to fight you. The sacred Lion King was disdainful. His fingertips trembled, and the divine martial Dao weapon was imprisoned in his sea of consciousness. He stepped forward and was about to attack. The human cultivators rushed forward. Even if they could not attack, they had to cheer for the insane sect and Yi Qinghan. They did not want to stand by and watch. Humans were all hot-blooded. This was the most crucial moment for the human race. Humph! A cold snort echoed in the hearts of everyone outside the buried emperor city. It was as if it could freeze people's hearts and kill their souls. The Qilin tiger wore a golden crown and an imperial robe. He appeared outside the buried emperor city in the blink of an eye. He coldly glanced at the people of the insane sect, and fixed his gaze on Yi Qinghan and Si Wuxia. The murderous intent in his eyes was self-evident. It's you again, brat. I haven't settled the score with you for what happened last time. And now you've offended me again. The Qilin tiger clenched its fists. It really wanted to attack, but it was afraid that others would say that it was bullying the weak. In the end, it held back. What? You still want to have a taste of that? Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows, unwilling to be outdone. So what if his cultivation level was lower? He would still scare the Qilin tiger into not daring to attack. The Qilin tiger was really afraid. He was afraid that Yi Qinghan still had the sealed dead soul in his hands. If he angered a madman like Yi Qinghan, he would not care where he was. He would throw out the dead soul, and everyone would die. Heavenly Palace God, Xia Qiyue, and the others appeared with evil smiles on their faces. Now that Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi had appeared, no one below the immortal sect was a match for them. This battle would be a beautiful one for the humans. Zhang Ge held his spear and stood on the city wall. He said from a distance, Qilin tiger, I really want to fight with you. Unfortunately, I don't have the chance. If you have the guts, you can attack my human juniors first. I'll skin you alive today. The Qilin tiger was furious. Princes were not allowed to fight to the death. Was Zhang Ge seizing this opportunity to humiliate it? Kikik. The Qilin tiger clenched his fist so tightly that it made cracking sounds. The flames in his eyes were almost tangible. He sneered and scolded Yi Qinghan and Zhang Ge. You're the one who started it. One day, I'll make you understand that the only result of provoking me is death. Then I'll wait. One day, you'll use those words on yourself. Zhang Ge replied forcefully. The Qilin tiger didn't want to talk to Zhang Ge. At this time, the boundary emperor didn't allow princes to fight, so he couldn't fight with Zhang Ge. Instead, he stared at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was the person he hated the most. When they first met, Yi Qinghan used a dead spirit seal to force him to retreat. The Qilin tiger also ruined the plans of the myriad tribes. The second time they met, Yi Qinghan's disciple stole his mount. The Qilin tiger coldly looked at the Qilin tiger and said, Whoever kills a member of the Kuang sect will be my follower and lead you to glory. If anyone manages to kill Yi Qinghan, I promise that I will give him an 8th rank secret skill and teach him for a year. The Qilin tiger said coldly as he turned around to look at the 10 royal sacred clan cultivators. The sage monarch tribe was overjoyed. They thought they were invincible in the same realm except for the imperial bloodline. Those terrifying existences were not people they could compare to. It was their honor to be able to follow the imperial bloodline and witness the glory of the Tao. If they could obtain an 8th grade secret technique, their combat strength would increase greatly. It wouldn't be a problem for them to raise the level of their race. I'll do it. The Saint Lion King returned to his original body. His golden hair shone and he looked majestic. His tall body stood proudly, looking down at Yi Qinghan. He bared his fangs and looked terrifying. Everyone retreated 1,000 meters away, leaving the center of the battlefield to Yi Qinghan and the Saint Lion King. The heavenly palace god and the others stared at the Qilin tiger, afraid that he would suddenly attack Yi Qinghan. The human race couldn't completely fall out with the myriad tribes, so they could only grit their teeth and endure. The Qilin tiger and the 3 princes of the human race stood together. They looked at Yi Qinghan and the Saint Lion King indifferently, waiting for the battle to begin. Yi Qinghan stepped forward and raised his saber. His domineering aura covered the sky. The sharp saber light tore through the void and pointed at the Saint Lion King. His aura grew stronger and stronger, as if he was going to break the universe. He said coldly, "Make your move. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you a chance." Yi Qinghan wanted to establish his might for the human race and the Guangzhong. Roar! The Saint Lion King's hair stood on end. He didn't want Yi Qinghan's aura to rise any further. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to attack again. His 4 limbs roared, and his fangs broke the shackles. He pounced at Yi Qinghan like lightning. "You're courting death." Yi Qinghan poured his vital essence into the heavy frenzy saber. The heavy frenzy saber was attached to the elements of the law. It moved slowly and stood straight. Heavy frenzy god-seizing technique. Boom. The source of the great Tao was under this saber. It stole one's soul and was indestructible. There was nothing it couldn't break. A cold light broke through the shackles of time and space and disappeared without a trace. Yi Qinghan had also disappeared. The Qilin tiger's pupils constricted. Not good, the spatial laws. The Saint Lion King is definitely not Yi Qinghan's match. The moment Yi Qinghan disappeared, the heavy manic saber tore through the void and appeared above the Saint Lion King. It raised its saber and slashed down at the Saint Lion King's head. The chi wave was so oppressive that the ground caved in. The wind and sand danced in the air. Boom. The Saint Lion King was shocked. He felt as if his limbs were filled with lead. The pressure and gravity around him increased by more than 1,000 times. He couldn't move. He looked up and saw the saber slash at him. Roar! The Saint Lion King roared in grief. He fell to his knees, and the ground beneath his feet cracked. Roar! The divine martial Tao soldier in the Saint Lion King's consciousness awakened. It protected the Saint Lion King and launched a counterattack. Yi Qinghan was caught off guard. His expression changed and he coughed up blood. He reached out and grabbed the human sovereign sword that Emperor Shang had given him. He didn't need to awaken it. With a slash, he split the divine martial Tao soldier and the Saint Lion King apart. The human sovereign's aura erupted, alarming the boundary emperors in the city. Boom. Whoosh. The sword light flashed. A terrifying and bottomless ravine appeared outside the buried emperor city. The sword light shot toward the city and activated the emperor-level array. A divine light flashed, shaking thousands of miles. The emperor's aura was vast and mighty. The emperor-level runes counterattacked and attacked outside the city. The human sovereign's sword was too terrifying. Even if it hadn't awakened, it had activated the emperor-level array. The boundary emperors were scared pale. They watched helplessly as the emperor-level array awakened and tried to destroy everything outside the city. Roar! Yi Qinghan was also frightened. He looked up at the emperor-level runes that were tearing through the air, trying to destroy everything. His palms were cold and his eyes were full of fear. If the emperor-level array swept past, everyone in front of him would die, including the people from the insane sect. The mortal sovereign's sword suddenly erupted, forcibly absorbing Yi Qinghan's Zhen Yuan, instantly draining him of his strength. With a long howl, the mortal sovereign's sword awakened. It was as if the first imperial exterminator had arrived. Its imperial might spread out, and all of the imperial runes dissipated, returning to the grand formation. The emperor-level array was obviously not ordinary. It could distinguish between friend and foe. As soon as the human sovereign sword awakened, it immediately calmed down. The human sovereign sword. How could it be in his hands? The experts from the 10,000 races and the human clan turned pale. They felt as if they had one foot in hell and were pulled back by the human sovereign sword. They looked at each other and trembled when they saw the human sovereign sword in Yi Qinghan's hand. The Qilin tiger was furious. He expressed his dissatisfaction with Yi Qinghan's actions. Fuck. You can't use the power that you can't control. Do you want to get everyone killed? The Qilin tiger was thoroughly enraged. However, it looked at Yi Qinghan with a hint of wariness in its eyes. Its blood boiled and it roared. In its heart, it felt that Yi Qinghan was a scourge that would harm it sooner or later. Yi Qinghan held the human sovereign sword. His murderous intent radiated and his eyes were like torches. He glanced at the Qilin tiger as if the human sovereign had arrived. The two quasi-emperors, Zuoxian and Qinheng, looked at the awakened human sovereign sword. Their Dao hearts trembled. They knelt down and said respectfully, "Welcome, human sovereign. Welcome, human sovereign." The 10,000 heroes of the human clan knelt down without hesitation. They were not kneeling to Yi Qinghan, but to the human sovereign sword. The human sovereign sword had not awakened for a long time. They did not expect it to awaken on its own today. The experts from the 10,000 races were shocked. They did not dare to blaspheme the human sovereign sword and knelt down. Even the quasi-emperors submitted to the human sovereign sword and said respectfully, "Welcome, human sovereign." The corner of the Qilin tiger's mouth twitched. He was filled with hatred. He had no choice but to kneel. The human sovereign sword could not be blasphemed, just like the human sovereign, who dared not to kneel. However, he hated that Yi Qinghan was the one who held the human sovereign sword. If it was Di Shang, he would have let it go. However, he was not willing to kneel to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan pointed the sword at the Qilin tiger. He was filled with murderous intent. If he did not kneel today, he would definitely use the human sovereign sword to kill him. The human sovereign sword seemed to have a soul. It stared at the Qilin tiger. He was so frightened that he knelt down and said hurriedly, "Junior welcomes the awakening of the human sovereign sword." The human sovereign's aura caused the 10,000 Daos to retreat. A wisp of aura instantly pierced through the imperial region and swept across the endless universe. Yi Qinghan looked at the universe with the help of the human sovereign's aura. He was stunned by the vastness of the universe. The 10,000 races and the human race were indeed frogs at the bottom of a well. They did not understand the vastness of the universe. In the blink of an eye, the human sovereign's aura brought Yi Qinghan's divine sense into the forbidden area. He looked down at the dead spirits and was shocked by the countless powerful dead spirits. The divine medicine and sacred medicine were imprisoned in the forbidden area. The dead spirits could not get close. Endless death chi filled the air. Even the laws of time could not get close. It was as if everything here was forbidden. The human sovereign's aura alarmed the powerful dead spirits in the depths of the forbidden area. They awakened one after another, their aura overflowing. Chapter 253. Within the Forbidden Land, the aura of the human emperor drifted about. It was as if the emperor himself had arrived, causing the dead spirit's hair to stand on end. It's the exterminating emperor's aura. Is he still alive? Impossible. He's the emperor of the ancient era. How could he still be alive? The experts woke up one after another. These were all emperor-level dead spirits, and there were even traitors of the human race. Their eyes were filled with shock as they gazed into the distance. Yi Qinghan used the human emperor's aura to scan the forbidden land. He was shocked by the vastness and magnificence of the forbidden land. No wonder the human race was so weak. The dead spirits were too terrifying. Every one of them was at the quasi-emperor level, and there were even great emperors in the depths. However, they were still too old to display their peak strength. They could only rely on this eternal forbidden land to struggle at death's door. It's the human emperor's sword. Guardian's human emperor's sword. I didn't expect it to awaken. Finally, a great emperor-level existence had awakened. He stepped out from the depths, and his emperor's aura was vast and mighty. The dead spirits did not dare to raise their heads and all knelt down. Yi Qinghan did not dare to make the slightest movement. Even if he attached a strand of his consciousness to the human emperor's sword, the great emperor would be able to track his origin and directly destroy his body. Even if he crossed millions of miles of mountains and rivers, he would not be able to stop the great emperor's footsteps. Guardian, these years, the Forbidden Land and the human race have not interfered with each other. What are you doing in the Forbidden Land? The great emperor asked coldly. The human emperor's aura did not stop. It was like a soulless creature that continued to wander into the depths. Countless sacred medicines shone with golden light, exuding holy medicinal properties. Any one of them could make a great emperor fight to the death. Dishang's life could be saved by hundreds of years. Unfortunately, this place had its own laws. The dead spirits could not break the restrictions. If these sacred medicines were allowed to grow, sooner or later, a great emperor would be born here. Moreover, it would be a sacred medicine great emperor. The great emperor felt that the human emperor's sword's aura was not hostile. It only passed by the Forbidden Land and did not stop it. It only watched as it left. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air as he gazed at the boundless Forbidden Land. He was both anxious and excited. Only the great emperors and renhuangs could leave after entering this place. He never thought that he would be able to enter the Forbidden Land and take a look by borrowing the aura of the renhuang sword. The stream murmured and the green willows were young and tender. They had already been here for tens of thousands of years. They looked like trees that were at most 10 years old, without any traces of time. Time here was too slow. So slow that one couldn't even feel it moving. The rocks were as hard as boundary emperor weapons. There were rubble everywhere, and there were also sword marks. It was obvious that a terrifying battle had taken place here. Yi Qinghan carefully scanned the surroundings with his consciousness and saw a terrifying scene. A corpse was nailed to the mountain rock by a piece of dead wood. The surroundings were stained with blood and sword scars. The corpse was wearing the quasi-emperor robe of the human race, and its eyes were ferocious. Its flesh and blood had not withered, as if it had just died yesterday. Only half of the quasi-emperor sword was left in its hand, and it was still clenched in its palm. Traitor? Or was it a human expert who charged into the forbidden area and was killed by the undead spirits? Yi Qinghan could not tell. There was no disgust, but there was a trace of respect. No matter what, such an expert was unwilling to compromise even to the death. It could be seen how firm his Dao heart was. The aura of the human emperor's sword suddenly stopped. It stared at a majestic iron mountain, emitting a terrifying pressure from its depths. It was as if an ancient giant beast was hiding there, and could come out at any time to destroy everything. Boom. Another powerful undead spirit revived right below the iron mountain. It was an emperor-level undead spirit. Once it rushed out of the Forbidden Land, it could definitely destroy the endless universe. At this moment, it looked coldly at the aura of the human emperor's sword and locked onto Yi Qinghan's consciousness with its consciousness. Yi Qinghan was shocked, and his hair stood on end. His main body, which was thousands of miles away, broke out in cold sweat. Sigh, a sigh shook the heavens and the earth. The flow of time sped up a lot. A terrifying aura rushed into the clouds, shattering the void and reviving from a mountain. This aura suppressed the countless undead spirits in the surroundings, not daring to raise their heads. Yi Qinghan was shocked. This aura was too familiar. It was 50% similar to Dishang's aura. However, this aura was stronger and denser. A true great emperor's aura enveloped the aura of the human emperor's sword and Yi Qinghan's consciousness, knocking away the undead spirit's consciousness. Yi Qinghan's main body trembled, feeling as if he had just escaped death. A traitor of the human race. A traitor of the ancient killing god. It was a great emperor, the 9-star ancient killing god. The undead spirit's words were true. There was a 9-star ancient killing god here. Yi Qinghan was shocked and felt that it was somewhat inconceivable. The 9-star ancient killing god had actually defected. This was simply a disgrace to the ancient killing god. How is this possible? There are only so many great emperors of the human race. Which one is this great emperor of the ancient killing god? Boom. The mountain cracked, and the seal was gone. A ray of divine light flashed as the great emperor stepped out. The great emperor's robe danced in the wind, shattering the laws. Yi Qinghan's consciousness looked at the great emperor in front of him, and was stunned by the words embroidered on his robe. 9-star killing robe. Killing god Fu Su. It's actually great emperor Fu Su. This. Yi Qinghan felt as if a bottle of mixed feelings had been knocked over. It was recorded in the Divine Martial Imperial Codex that great emperor Fu Su had fought his entire life, and was invincible. He had never lost a single battle in his life. He had slaughtered thousands of races to submit to him, and the Forbidden Grounds wailed in agony. In the end, he had reached the end of his life and was unwilling to continue living. He had forcefully slaughtered his way into the depths of the Forbidden Grounds, and unleashed his peak combat strength. He had shattered the Forbidden Grounds into pieces. Retreat! Great Emperor Fu Su's voice was hoarse and filled with vicissitudes of life. His eyes were filled with disdain. He was still the same as the great emperor of the past, his killing intent undiminished. Why have you defected? A horrifying voice came from the endless universe. It traveled through time and arrived at the Forbidden Grounds. The voice was majestic and filled with disbelief. This was the first time the human sovereign's sword had spoken. Obviously, it didn't believe that great Emperor Fu Su had defected. Because great Emperor Fu Su had once wielded the human sovereign's sword, he entered the Forbidden Grounds alone, and didn't bring the human sovereign's sword with him. Therefore, the human sovereign's sword didn't know that great Emperor Fu Su had traveled through tens of thousands of years, and was still alive in the Forbidden Grounds. What do you mean by defecting? I know that even though I have lived in the Forbidden Grounds for tens of thousands of years, I have never had a single drop of human blood on me. I just want to use this place to comprehend immortality. Great Emperor Fu Su explained in a low voice. He didn't want the human sovereign's sword to misunderstand. Sai, we are all stubborn people. The 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors of the ancients have all left the Tao. They didn't have any lingering thoughts in the mortal world. Immortality is too far away. One day, you will regret staying in the Forbidden Grounds. This place is like a poison that you can't quit and can't leave. In the end, you will have no choice but to kill the humans you once protected and steal their lives. The human sovereign's sword sighed and shook its head with a bitter smile. You don't have to worry about this. I can definitely guarantee it. Great Emperor Fu Su shook his head and said resolutely, please remember the oath you once made to the ancient killing god, and the words you said to the common people. The human sovereign's sword warned, if the mountains and rivers are no longer here, what use is my body? The majestic voice moved the blood of the dead spirits and suppressed them, causing them to kneel down. Great Emperor Fu Su was still unyielding. Even though he had been in the Forbidden Grounds for tens of thousands of years, he didn't change his mind. His Tao heart was firm to the extreme. Back then, there were also boundary emperors who entered the Forbidden Grounds, hoping to use this place to comprehend the Tao and prove their Tao to defy the heavens. They wanted to be crowned as emperors in the endless universe and help the human race. Unfortunately, they couldn't resist the temptation of immortality, and killed the humans to steal their lives. Yi Qinghan's nose turned sour. A great emperor was still a great emperor after all. Incomparable. You can leave now. Don't go too deep. Great Emperor Fu Su's majesty was overwhelming, and his will was irrefutable. The human sovereign's sword hesitated and chose to leave. Kid, I'll give you a sentence. Immortality isn't unattainable. If I'm useless and can't achieve immortality, please help me fulfill my last wish. Great Emperor Fu Su traced back to his origin, and a voice exploded in Yi Qinghan's consciousness. This Forbidden Grounds represents an unlimited path to immortality. That's because the law of time can't descend. Only a strand of the law can break through the restriction. If you can fully comprehend the law of time or cultivate your body to the point where it can block the law of time, you can achieve immortality. Yi Qinghan's body shook. Great Emperor Fu Su had cultivated for tens of thousands of years in the Forbidden Grounds, and concluded with this sentence. It was easy to say but hard to do. Otherwise, Great Emperor Fu Su wouldn't have continued to stay in the Forbidden Grounds. Thank you, Great Emperor. Yi Qinghan muttered to himself as he raised his head and looked at the distant horizon. The Golden Era. Is another Great Emperor about to be born? If only. Great Emperor Fu Su sighed. Great Emperor Fu Su sighed and looked forward to the birth of a new Great Emperor. Even if he couldn't control his own heart, he would be killed by the new Great Emperor. He wouldn't slaughter the humans he had protected for his entire life. The humans were shocked by Great Emperor Fu Su's divine sense. A great emperor of the human race was still alive, and in the Forbidden Grounds. Their faces turned ashen. Whether it was the humans or the myriad races, there was no joy. There was only despair and helplessness. A great emperor-level traitor, even if he didn't appear now, would appear in the future. Once he appeared, it would be an era of mourning. Unless a new great emperor was born, no one would be able to save the countless lives. The human sovereign's sword returned to its body and fell into a deep sleep again. Yi Qinghan woke up indifferently. Looking at the despairing faces of the humans and the myriad races, he couldn't help but laugh bitterly. He secretly mocked himself. I'm really a jinx. Wherever I go, I attract a terrifying existence. Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled, and the human sovereign's sword returned to his sea of consciousness. It transformed into the heavy berserk saber. He coldly looked at the remaining 9 Saint Monarch experts and said, I had no choice but to use the human sovereign's sword. If anyone dares to use the divine martial Dao weapon again, don't blame me for being impolite. Qin Heng and Zuoxian's expressions were ugly. They didn't think that Emperor Shang would give the human sovereign's sword to Yi Qinghan. If it was lost or stolen, it would be a great loss to the human race. Qinghan, where is Daoist Emperor Shang? Why is the human sovereign's sword in your hands? Qin Heng's voice was filled with dissatisfaction. Giving the human sovereign's sword to a junior was simply not taking the ancient killing god seriously. If it was given to Emperor Yi, perhaps he wouldn't be able to say anything. After all, Emperor Yi had the supreme physique of the human sovereign. But Yi Qinghan, even if his physique wasn't bad, he wasn't qualified to hold the human sovereign's sword. Yi Qinghan bitterly smiled. He knew that there would be problems with the human sovereign's sword in his hands. As soon as he took it out, the 2 quasi-emperors of the ancient killing god questioned him. Chapter 254. The group of quasi-emperors frowned as they looked at Yi Qinghan, especially the human experts and the Dao realm quasi-emperors of the 9 holy lands. They all felt that Di Shang's decision wasn't very wise. Especially the Great Buddha Temple's quasi-emperors. They were looking for a chance to take back the Great Buddha Temple's supreme treasure, the 10,000 Buddha Pagoda. If the human emperor's sword was in Yi Qinghan's hands, it would be impossible to take back the 10,000 Buddha Pagoda. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly and said, Masters, Master Di has already gone into seclusion and asked me to hold the human emperor's sword. He also said that if anyone is dissatisfied, they can let the human emperor's sword choose freely. Of course, the human emperor's sword had the power to choose freely. Its choice was the final decision. No one dared to say anything. Even if a new great emperor appeared, they couldn't influence the choice of the human emperor's sword. Yi Qinghan's fingers trembled. He held the human emperor's sword with both hands and looked at Qin Heng and Zuoxian. Besides these 2, the others weren't from the ancient massacre god, and didn't have the qualifications to compete. The human emperor's sword couldn't be given to them either. Qin Heng and Zuoxian's eyes flashed. They definitely wanted the human emperor's sword. Having the human emperor's sword meant that they had the will of the human emperor. Once the human emperor's sword appeared, even the ancient massacre god's sword would have to listen to it. The human emperor's sword seemed to be silent as it lay quietly in Yi Qinghan's hands. Anyone could take it. Zuoxian was anxious. He stepped forward and emitted strands of great emperor's might, hoping that the human emperor's sword would recognize him. He reached out to grab the sword, but the moment he touched the hilt, the human emperor's sword suddenly exploded. An unparalleled might shot out and pushed Zuoxian back several hundred meters. Pung pung pung. Zuoxian's face was pale as if he had been attacked by a great emperor. His right hand exploded and his great emperor's blood dyed the sky. He retreated step by step into the crowd, scaring them into fleeing. Qin Heng's expression changed, and he was a bit nervous. He stepped forward and respectfully said, "Lord Protector, you are far too important to the human race and the ancient slaughter god. It is not appropriate for a junior like Qin Han to hold you. I beg you to let me hold you. I will do my best for the human race, even if I die." The human sovereign sword did not move at all, which put the human race quasi-emperors in a difficult position. Qin Heng sighed. At this moment, he wanted to take the human sovereign's sword from Yi Qinghan's hands partly because of his own selfishness. But most of it was for the sake of the human race and the ancient massacre god. In his eyes, Yi Qinghan wasn't worthy of wielding the human sovereign's sword. Letting Si Wuxia or Emperor Yi wield it was the best choice. At the very least, it should be Celestial Palace God. If you think I'm not worthy, then you should at least let Si Wuxia or Emperor Yi, who have the physique of the human emperor, take over. I beg you, sir, for the sake of the human race, please move your golden body. Qin Heng slowly knelt down and said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly. If the Ren Huang sword really left, it meant that it was not meant to be with him. If it was lodging in the consciousness of Emperor Yi or Si Wuxia, he would not be jealous. The human sovereign's sword moved slightly, and a wisp of aura swept towards Emperor Yi and Si Wuxia. It did not leave, but returned to the consciousness of its own accord. It was as if it had taken root and nailed itself above the sea of bitterness. Everyone gasped. They did not understand why the human sovereign's sword gave up lodging in the consciousness of the human emperor physique, and chose to stay in Yi Qinghan's consciousness. In terms of physique, the human emperor physique could instantly defeat Yi Qinghan by 100,000 times. In terms of combat power, Si Wuxia and Emperor Yi's combat power was absolutely unparalleled. The choice of the human sovereign's sword was simply incomprehensible. I believe that master is worthy of wielding the human sovereign's sword. Si Wuxia stepped forward forcefully, his golden blood erupting. He glanced at the quasi-emperors and said coldly, I believe it too. The human sovereign's sword and Senior Emperor Shang have both chosen master. I hope that everyone will not push it too far. Emperor Yi stepped forward and pulled Yi Qinghan back. Two human emperor physiques supporting Yi Qinghan was the greatest recognition. Qin Heng stood up and said sadly, Qinghan, it's not that I don't believe you, but your physique is no better than the human emperor physique. However, brother Emperor Shang, the two human emperor physiques, and the human sovereign's sword have all chosen you. You must protect the human sovereign's sword well. That's right. The human sovereign's sword is the guardian of the ancient killing god. It has been passed down for several eras, and is still protecting the human race. Don't tarnish the human sovereign's sword, Zuoxian said in a low voice. As long as I live, the sword lives. If the sword dies, I die. Yi Qinghan was not disgusted. Instead, he bowed and promised. Good. I believe that since brother Emperor Shang has chosen Qinghan, we should also believe in him, Xia Chintian said in a low voice. He was extremely optimistic about Yi Qinghan. Xia Chintian's approval led to the approval of the other Dao realm quasi-emperors from the 9 Holy Lands. The quasi-emperor from the Great Golden Buddha Temple twitched his mouth. He was in no position to say anything. The matter of the human sovereign's sword came to an end. Yi Qinghan turned around and looked at the 9 sage royal tribe experts. He then looked at the miserable state of the insane sect disciples. He clenched his fists and said coldly, as the sect leader of the insane sect, I will not allow anyone to humiliate me. You are great martial venerables, and some of you are even at the beginner stage of the immortal gate. You suppressed your cultivation level and chased after a 10-year-old child. So you are the sect leader of the insane sect. A high-level Dao master, who is not even a great martial venerable. How dare you lead a group of children to be so arrogant? You are courting death. Qilin Tiger sneered. It doesn't matter if I am a great martial venerable or not. I have cultivated for 10 years to reach this level. In 100 years at most, I will kill you like a dog. Yi Qinghan snorted coldly. Ha ha ha, people are not afraid of being stupid, but they are afraid of being brainless. So what if I give you 100 years? I can still suppress you with one hand. But now, I want to see how you are going to save face for your disciples. 1 against 9. If you dare to use the human sovereign sword or the divine martial weapon, I will kill you now. Don't think that the human sovereign sword can protect you. Qilin Tiger sneered and signaled the 9 sage royal tribe experts to join forces and completely suppress Yi Qinghan. Deity of the heavenly palace frowned and said coldly, 1 against 9. It is not fair. Moreover, Yi Qinghan is only at the peak of the Tao master level. He is not even a great martial venerable. There is nothing unfair about it. Didn't he just say that he would suppress me after 100 years? Even if I suppress my cultivation level to the peak of the Tao master level, you can send out any great martial venerable from the human clan. I will kill 100 of you. If he wants to defeat me, he will have to fight 1 against 9 first. Qilin Tiger sneered. The faces of the human clan experts darkened. This was no longer a simple provocation. 1 against 100, and he even chose the elites of the human clan as he pleased. He was looking down on the human clan. Yi Qinghan sneered and pulled out his violent saber. He said calmly, 1 against 9, no problem. Come at me together. I will take it. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. Regardless of whether Yi Qinghan won or lost, his boldness was something to admire. Yi Qinghan, if you can win, I am willing to be your follower and a member of the crazy sect. I will help you protect the crazy sect. At this time, a figure stepped out of the crowd. He was very young, with long hair fluttering in the wind. His temperament was outstanding, and he was about 1.8 meters tall. His face was as handsome as jade, and his chiseled face was like the work of God. He looked like a reserve topmaster. Huang Tian. He is at the imperial prince level. Although he is not a disciple of the Tao realm, his combat strength is not inferior to the imperial prince or the holy sun. 3 years ago, Lin Aoqiong fought him, and he was not defeated after more than 3,000 moves. In the end he was exhausted. He has been in the eternal battlefield alone. I heard that he had obtained the inheritance of a secret treasure. That was how he rose to power and became imperial prince. I did not expect that he would have to protect the crazy sect. The crowd discussed. Even Lin Aoqiong could not help but look at Huang Tian. After 3 years, he realized that Huang Tian had become much stronger and more profound. He was probably almost on the same level as the imperial prince. Brother Yi, your brother supports you. Kill these little bastards. They're just a bunch of trash. Kill them all. Duga Baitian said in a domineering manner. He didn't even put the 9 holy royal clans in his eyes. The experts of the 9 great holy royal families were furious. They released their auras and were about to attack. The boundary emperors did not say anything. They wanted to see how strong the person chosen by the emperor's sword was. I will say this first. Once the battle starts, it will not end until one of us dies. No matter who wins or loses, if anyone dares to interfere, don't blame me for using the extreme Tao Emperor weapon. The Qilin Tiger's royal aura exploded. Even the boundary emperors had to give him face. Okay. Tian Gongshen looked at Yi Qinghan and felt that he would not do anything rash. Since he had agreed, he was confident that he would win. Back off. After this battle, the human race and the myriad races will stop fighting. The younger generation will start the king-conferring battle. The real king-conferring experts. The top 1,000 will be recognized as the king of the endless universe. They will be able to enter the Tao realm's sacred land of the human race, and the myriad races to cultivate for a year to 100 years. The top 10 in the same realm will receive the blood essence of the royal family. The top expert will receive a drop of blood essence of the dragon heart. The boundary emperor of the Azure Dragon race announced the start of the king-conferring battle. He looked at the experts coldly. The Qilin Tiger did not dare to say anything. Everyone was overjoyed, especially the emperor-level existences. The top 10 would be monopolized by them. The blood essence of the royal family's bloodline was a supreme treasure. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. The blood essence of the royal family and the blood essence of the dragon heart were what he lacked the most. They could be used to temper his physical body and lay an important foundation for the creation of the 9 revolutions chaotic Tao body in the future. Roar! The heavy berserk saber exploded with a violent aura that was incomparably domineering. Yi Qinghan gripped his saber tightly and stepped forward, looking coldly at the 9 Saint Royal Family experts. The 9 Saint Royal Family experts spread out and surrounded Yi Qinghan. Their auras were like rainbows, and their killing intent was radiating in all directions. They all took out the immortal sect Dao weapons, which shone with divine light. Yi Qinghan was indifferent. His eyes emitted a terrifying will. He became one with his saber, and his battle intent soared. Zhang Ji's eyes flashed. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be able to explode with such a powerful battle intent. He was not inferior to some of the Zhang family's direct disciples. He nodded with satisfaction. Hiss, 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 the saber light of the heavy berserk saber tore through the void. Yi Qinghan borrowed the momentum of heaven and earth, and his aura exploded. It was as if he was indomitable, and he suppressed the 9 Saint Royal Family experts. Kill! With an angry roar, the 9 Saint Royal Family experts attacked together. True Yuan poured out, and the saber light tore through the void, drowning Yi Qinghan's position. Boom! The earth cracked, and sand flew everywhere. Sand covered the sky and covered the sun. Yi Qinghan's figure disappeared from everyone's sight. The 10,000 Saint Royal Family experts were overjoyed. They thought that Yi Qinghan had been killed in an instant, and they laughed mockingly. The 9 berserk moves combined berserk heaven-slaying move. With an angry roar, the mountains and rivers collapsed. Countless terrifying saber lights cut through the clouds and pierced through the void. In the blink of an eye, they merged into one, and a terrifying saber light appeared in the void. It was as if it had come from the primordial times, and it wanted to destroy the heavens. Chapter 255. The saber slashed through the air, sweeping away thousands of soldiers. The saber light pierced through the shackles of the Yorwilds. Roar! Boom! Crack! A series of cracking sounds rang out as the 9 precious treasures were destroyed. There was no way to fight back. The berserk battle will swept through the 9 experts, causing them to bleed and tumble through the air. Within the same level, who could possibly contend with the berserk battle will? The Tiger Qilan's face sank. He had never imagined that Yi Qinghan's battle prowess would reach such a level. His power was unparalleled, and the combined attack of the 9 experts hadn't even been able to injure him. Boom! The 9 experts were battered and exhausted. Their bodies bathed in blood as they tumbled through the air several hundred meters away. They stared in shock at Yi Qinghan, who looked like a god of war descending from the heavens. Brandishing the berserk battle will, he stomped down on one of the experts. Ignorant brat, you can't even stand up to a single blow. Yi Qinghan pointed his saber at his opponent, who didn't dare to fight back. A beam of saber light shot out, piercing into the sage monarch's body. Not even the sage monarch's fleshly body could block Yi Qinghan's attack. Pop! One of the sage monarch experts coughed up blood as he tumbled through the air. Die! Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a smile. His voice was filled with determination, and he couldn't be refuted. Brandishing the berserk battle will, Yi Qinghan slashed through the air, using the magical laws of space to slash at his opponent's throat. The berserk battle will was infused with the elemental profundities of darkness, piercing through his opponent's limbs and bones. The remaining 8 sage monarchs stared at Yi Qinghan in shock and disbelief. Yi Qinghan's spatial magical laws were just too strong. He could appear and disappear like a ghost. Gather! Attack together! The sage monarch didn't dare to think too much about it, so he ordered the other experts to gather around him. Boom! The experts from all 8 directions rushed towards the Saint Monkey King. They wanted to rely on the combined might of the 8 great experts. They didn't hope to kill Yi Qinghan, but they wanted to defend. Yi Qinghan let out a muffled snort as he slashed out with his saber. Saber light flooded the space around him, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of one of the Saint Monarch race experts. It was as if the Saint Monarch race expert had been slashed in half, and the terrifying saber light contained the elemental profundities of darkness and the laws of gravity. In the blink of an eye, the Saint Monarch race expert's body was cut in half, and the terrifying saber light contained the elemental profundities of darkness and the laws of gravity. Not even his bones remained. Heavy frenzy attack. 10,000 Daos are under a single blade, and it can break 10,000 techniques. Die. Ah. An expert who only wanted to rush behind the Monkey King had his back facing Yi Qinghan, and was sliced open by a single slash. A drop of essence blood tried to form a Dao body, but was instantly destroyed by the dark elemental quintessence. Whoosh. Space shattered as Yi Qinghan killed 2 experts in a row. He raised his saber and used stellar transposition to block the path of another expert. Their eyes met, and the Saint Monarch race expert was terrified. You dare to kill me? The true king of my race will grind your bones to dust. The Saint Monarch race expert didn't even have the courage to fight back. His legs trembled as he tried to form a new Dao soldier. Yi Qinghan coldly said. He raised his saber and slashed out, piercing through space and obliterating his opponent. Then I'll wait for the true king of your race. Yi Qinghan didn't want to leave them alive. He wasn't afraid of their revenge. Actually, it didn't matter if they were afraid or not. After today, the true king of the Saint Monarch race would target the insane sect and Yi Qinghan. Even if they weren't killed, the outcome wouldn't change. In the blink of an eye, only 6 of the 9 experts were left. They stood back to back, blood dripping from their wounds, their faces filled with terror. The experts of the myriad races had ugly expressions. The Saint Monarch race expert had been defeated, and in such a miserable manner. Other than the king of the Saint Monarch race, who else would dare to say they could defeat Yi Qinghan? The Qilin tiger's eyes burned like the sun as his killing intent surged. This brat is going to be a disaster one day. I'm going to end him before that happens. With that, the Qilin tiger looked for an opportunity to strike. The sage Monkey King gripped his golden staff and glared at Yi Qinghan. Brat, you've angered the Saint Monarch race. You won't have a good end. The young king of my race has been sealed for 10,000 years, and he's about to awaken. Even the holy children and imperial princes of your human race will have to kneel before him. The 6 of you should be working together to kill me. You can't scare me to death just by scaring me, Yi Qinghan said disdainfully. His aura surged as he walked towards them with his blade raised. Tap tap tap. Tap tap tap. Yi Qinghan's footsteps felt like they were stepping on everyone's hearts, as if they were going to crush them. The sage Monkey King and the other experts' faces were ashen as they retreated. Their hearts were about to explode from the pressure of Yi Qinghan's aura. Their Dao hearts were about to be shattered, let alone resisting. Victory for the human race. Long live the Guangzong. Victory for the human race. Long live the Guangzong. Si Wuxia's bloodline awakened, and he roared, causing the blood energy of the heroes to tremble. Victory for the human race. Long live the Guangzong. The auras of millions of humans burst out in unison. Their auras soared into the sky. Even if the human race was weak, they could only rely on a few elites to struggle at death's door. However, their ancestors had said that millions of humans were all soldiers. Even if they were going to die, they would be drowned by the aura waves. They were not willing to step back and watch. Yi Qinghan borrowed the power of the human race, and he held the saber with both hands, becoming one with the saber. He stood outside the buried monarch city, and divine light rippled, as if he could slash down at any time. Boom. The sage Monkey King and the other experts' faces were as pale as paper, and they knelt down in fear from Yi Qinghan's aura. It was as if they were facing the king of their race, and they had no intention of resisting. The experts of the sage monarch race did not dare to raise their heads and look into Yi Qinghan's eyes, waiting for the judgment of fate. The Qilin tiger sneered, and he was both angry and shocked. He did not expect Yi Qinghan's battle strength to be on par with the imperial prince. Today's battle would establish a firm foundation for his Dao heart, and he would be truly invincible among his peers. Kill them, a bunch of trash. The Qilin tiger sneered and mocked. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed and he thought to himself, if I kill them now, they will definitely be hated by the other races, and it will be difficult for me to advance in the future. The quasi-emperors of the other races looked at Yi Qinghan's back with indifference, and they were also very hesitant. They wanted Yi Qinghan to kill them, but they also did not want to. After all, the young generation of the sage monarch race kneeling to the human race was a disgrace to the other races. However, killing these disgraces should be done by the experts of their race, and not by Yi Qinghan. Xia Chentian's fingers trembled, and he wanted to warn Yi Qinghan, but he did not say anything. He secretly said, "Young man, it's up to you to make your own choice, and whether or not you are smart enough." The other quasi-emperors did not say anything, and they all wanted to see what Yi Qinghan would choose. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently, and with a wave of his finger, he returned to his sea of consciousness. However, he was still as domineering as a blade, and his aura could seize the heavens. "I am the sect master of the arrogant sect. Today's matter was purely self-defense, and I am seeking justice for the younger generation. If any of the seniors are dissatisfied, they can come to me. If anyone dares to attack the children of my sect, don't blame me for using the sword of the human sovereign to slaughter your entire race without mercy." Yi Qinghan's voice was filled with killing intent and supreme will. His eyes were like scorching suns, and they swept across the crowd. Finally, he fixed his gaze on the Qilin tiger, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he clenched his fists. "I am not a bloodthirsty person, so don't force me to go crazy. Otherwise, what does it matter if you are an imperial sacred ground? I dare to take the sealed dead spirit and perish together with you." Yi Qinghan warned the Qilin tiger, warning him not to assassinate the young disciples of the arrogant sect. The Qilin tiger's mouth twitched, and his body trembled with anger. Yi Qinghan was too terrifying, too crazy, and completely unafraid of death. If he dared to injure the Qilin tiger's reverse scale, he would really take the sealed dead spirit and rush into the Qilin tiger's clan to slaughter them. I don't care about assassinating a group of juniors, but I will definitely kill you within 100 years. The Qilin tiger said coldly. Then let's wait and see. Maybe in 100 years, we can fight at the end of the coronation battle. Yi Qinghan was extremely arrogant, and he wanted to fight for the coronation battle, enter the top 10, and compete for the imperial blood essence. You enter the immortal gate first. No one below the great revered martial artist can enter the top 10. The Qilin tiger sneered coldly. Yi Qinghan was silent for a moment. This sentence was true. He might not even be able to enter the top 1,000. If he wanted to enter the top 100, he had to enter the immortal gate, and to enter the top 10 he had to be at the middle stage of the immortal gate. As you wish, Yi Qinghan replied coldly. The quasi-emperor was very satisfied with Yi Qinghan's performance. Not only was he strong, but he was also smart. When he was strong, he was not weaker than the human race, and when he retreated, he did not completely enrage the 10,000 races. The quasi-emperor of the Azure Dragon race nodded slightly. He was very satisfied that Yi Qinghan did not kill the experts of the 6 great holy royal race. In that case, everyone will prepare for a month. During this month, we will stop fighting, and no killing is allowed. If there is hatred, wait until the king-conferring battle. In this battle, no matter if it is the crown prince or others, life or death will not matter. Qin Heng said in a deep voice. If anyone dares to fight, the ancient massacre god will send out elites to kill them. No one dared to underestimate the might of the ancient massacre god. The heavenly palace gods were not ordinary, and they were all bitterly cultivating in the Forbidden Land. Once they came out, they would be absolutely terrifying. That's right, the Azure Dragon race will also send out elites to patrol the Imperial domain. You better not provoke the ancient massacre god and my Azure Dragon race. The Azure Dragon quasi-emperor warned in a deep voice. Since the king-conferring battle has started, is it time to announce the start of the golden era of the endless universe? All the elites of the human race will be recalled, and the disciples of the Dao realm of the Holy Land, the royal race, and the holy royal race will also be revived? Zhang Yunxiao asked excitedly. Of course. Otherwise, with just these disciples who have come out, most of them are not qualified to enter the top 1,000. Not even 10,000. The Azure Dragon quasi-emperor did not care about these young people who had already come out. At least, there were only 10 of them who could enter his eyes. Compared to those hidden elites, these people were just trash. Everyone's expression changed slightly. The true elites of the endless universe would be revived, and the competition would instantly increase by 10,000 times. If they were not careful, They would be buried in this king-conferring battle. The true human kings would step on the corpses to reach the peak and achieve supreme glory. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. The true golden age had begun. In a month's time, the disciples of the crazy sect were too young. There were not many who could really fight. It all depended on the two Renhuang physiques. As for the others, it was all up to fate. Chapter 256. Outside buried Emperor City, Yi Qinghan and Huang Tian looked at each other and nodded. They followed Heavenly Palace God and the others to Emperor Abyss City, the territory of the ancient massacre god. Yi Qinghan and more than 10 experts gathered in Hunter's territory. Except for Yi Qinghan, they were all imperial princes and holy princes. Zhangge, Heavenly Palace God, Duge Beitian, Lin Aoqiong, Xia Qiyue, Xia Ziluo, Xiao Yuni, Feng Sha. Their auras were soaring, and Muyo Tianqin was among them. Little guy, your battle strength is not bad. You're not inferior to the Zhan family's direct descendants, Zhangge said calmly. The Zhan family relied on the battle formula. Their battle intent soared to the heavens, and their aura alone could suppress tens of thousands of enemies. Once they reverted back to their ancestral state, they would be invincible, and could definitely fight with the golden bloodline. Even if they were at the same level, they would not fall behind. The golden bloodline could not suppress battle chi. Therefore, even a direct descendant of the Zhan family had the battle strength of a holy monarch tribe expert. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly. These imperial princes were as arrogant as the heavens. For them to say something like this to him was already a sign of respect. Brother Qinghan, you didn't use your full strength, did you? Heavenly Palace God did not believe that Yi Qinghan had used his full strength. Yi Qinghan nodded. He had to use his full strength to deal with the Holy Monarch tribe's direct descendants. How could he be compared to the imperial princes? Everyone's eyes flashed. He had defeated 9 Holy Monarch tribe experts in one move, and he had not used his full strength. Once he did, he would be comparable to the imperial princes even without the human sovereign sword. After a month, the gap between us and those reclusive princes in terms of cultivation realms has widened. We can only make up for it with our secret techniques. Do you all want to go back and cultivate your secret techniques? Yi Qinghan looked at everyone and made a decision in his heart. Duge Beitian, Huang Tian, and Xiao Yuni were all itinerant cultivators. At most they belonged to powerful clans. Compared to the Dao realm cultivators from the 9 great holy lands, they were much weaker. If he could recruit them into the insane sect and train them in the killing god's world, they would definitely be able to compete for the top 100 spots. Zhanggu, Xia Qiyue, and the others shook their heads. They had been cultivating in seclusion in the clan for dozens of years. They had long grasped the secret arts and divine abilities of the clan. Now they wanted to come out to experience life and death situations to break through. Even if they went back now, they wouldn't be able to solve the problem in a month. Yi Qinghan's fingers trembled. If these Empyreans, saint sons, and saintesses were pulled into the killing god world, the ancient killing god might not agree. After all, it was impossible for the saint sons of the Holy Lands to agree to join the ancient killing god. For the sake of the human race, let's go all out. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and decided to bring them along to the god of death's realm. Boom. Just as Yi Qinghan was about to speak, 7 terrifying auras suddenly appeared on the periphery of the hunter's territory. They were incomparably powerful, and their fighting spirit soared to the heavens. Yi Qinghan and the others were startled. These people's fighting spirit was on par with the Empyrean princes. How did so many experts suddenly appear in the human race? Chua. More than 10 figures rushed out of the main hall. When they saw that the newcomers were a group of strangers, they were immediately shocked. However, Yi Qinghan was overjoyed. He laughed excitedly and his figure flashed. He punched Sikong Chengjuan's chest and said happily, "Brother, we haven't seen each other for more than 10 years. Our opportunity is not bad." The 3 brothers reunited after 10 years. Gu Qingyu also laughed. "Kid, it really is you. You didn't die even after self-detonating. Damn, you created a miracle." Sikong Chengjun laughed loudly. He was especially happy. "Don't worry, I won't die." Yi Qinghan was excited. He turned to look at Rookie and the others. He found that these people's fighting strength was incomparably terrifying. They were definitely comparable to the Empyrean princes. He couldn't help but ask, "Who are these people?" "These are the brothers I made in the eternal battlefield. They are Stallion, Rookie, Divine Whip." Sikong Qingjun introduced them one by one. "Greetings, fellow Taoists." Chao Biang and the others looked at the Empyrean princes and cupped their fists. "I didn't expect so many experts to come out of the eternal battlefield. It seems that we have to go in and take a look." Xia Qiyue and the others were very shocked. It was absolutely terrifying for a mortal body to reach this step. Chao Biang and the others didn't have a special constitution or high-grade bloodline. The happiest person was Yi Qinghan. Sikong Qingjun called these people brothers, so they could definitely be trusted. They were the best candidates to join the Kuang sect. There was no need to worry about loyalty. The eternal battlefield is indeed a good place to cultivate people. You can die at any time, but once there is an opportunity, you can't hide even if you want to. Sikong Qingjun said straightforwardly. His eyes flickered. If there was a chance, he would pull all these Empyrean princes in and explore some death zones. He would obtain even more. "Let's wait until after the king-conferring battle. We'll go in together." Yi Qinghan nodded. The eternal battlefield was the condensation of the glory of an era. The powerful eternal battlefield was destroyed overnight. Who knew how many treasures were hidden inside? Everyone entered the main hall. Yi Qinghan's aura became serious. He looked at the Empyrean princes and Xia Ziluo and said in a deep voice, "Are you willing to become the ancient massacre god?" Zhanggu, Xia Qiyue, and the others raised their eyebrows. It was impossible for the Empyrean princes and saints of the Dao realm Holy Land to become the ancient massacre god. Hunters could do it. After all, they had the backing of super forces. Unless it was a special time, the ancient massacre god wouldn't want them. The heavenly palace god was stunned. Looking at Yi Qinghan's expression, he guessed what he was going to do. He was shocked and hurriedly said, "Brother Yi, you have to discuss this matter with the two boundary emperors of the ancient massacre god. You can't be stubborn." Yi Qinghan nodded. At this time, with the human sovereign sword, he might be able to forcefully bring these people into the massacre god's realm. However, it would definitely arouse the dissatisfaction of the boundary emperors. Yi Qinghan stared at everyone and said in a low voice, "If you are willing to become the ancient massacre god and swear an oath to become the ancient massacre god, I will bring you into the massacre god's realm. You can cultivate the secret techniques and divine abilities of the massacre god's realm. Although it won't be of much use in a month, mastering a divine ability, even if it's just a small divine ability, will be enough to save your life and kill your opponent at a critical time." Zhanggu, Xia Qiyue, and the others were stunned. Aside from quasi-emperors and their direct disciples, it was impossible for anyone else to enter the ancient killing god's world. Yi Qinghan was holding the human sovereign sword and wanted to bring them in. Just this boldness alone made them admire him. Will the ancient massacre god agree? Xia Qiyue frowned. This wasn't a small matter. This is a special time. The glory of the human race depends on our generation. If we keep it to ourselves, it will only cause the human race to fall. I believe in the wisdom and foresight of the two sirs. It's up to you all. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. If he really couldn't convince them, he would forcefully bring them in. No one could stop his determination to lead the human race to glory. I am willing to join the ancient massacre god and swear an oath to never reveal the ancient massacre god's secret techniques and divine abilities. Zhanggu replied straightforwardly. Xia Qiyue shrugged and looked at Xia Ziluo. She revealed a different kind of smile and said faintly, "Since my brother-in-law invited me, how can I, as his brother-in-law, refuse?" Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and was speechless. Why wasn't this matter over yet? Humph. Emperor Yi coldly snorted and opened his eyes to glare at Xia Qiyue. Xia Ziluo's face turned red and she stomped her feet. She shyly glared at Xia Qiyue and said angrily, "Brother, you're still talking about this matter. Father is about to forcefully give an order. Actually, I think this is pretty good. The two of you have excellent physiques, so your nephew will definitely be excellent. Who knows, he might be able to prove his Dao. Xia Qiyue teased. Forget it. Only you, her brother, would treat her like a treasure. My master wouldn't like this kind of spoiled princess. Emperor Yi disdainfully mocked. Xia Ziyue was furious. She was so angry that her chest was trembling. Her jade-like fingers trembled as she pointed at Emperor Yi. She gritted her teeth in hatred. After holding it in for a long time, she finally reprimanded. Little girl, why are you always going against me? Don't think that I won't dare to beat you just because you have the physique of the human emperor. Come if you have the ability. I'm not afraid of you. Emperor Yi gave tit for tat. His aura exploded as he replied indifferently. Yi Qinghan bitterly smiled. Emperor Yi was cold to everyone, so why did he start a fight with Xia Ziyue? Alright, if there's a chance, you two can compete in the king-conferred battle. Now isn't the time for internal strife. Xia Qiyue looked at Emperor Yi with a strange light in her eyes. This little girl's possessiveness was a bit too strong. You two chat first. I'll go and discuss with the two lords. Yi Qinghan dragged Emperor Yi out of the palace. Outside the palace, Emperor Yi refused to leave. He wanted the enlightenment divine lotus. He opened his deep eyes and glared at Yi Qinghan. Master, are you going to marry that spoiled princess? Yi Qinghan exploded. Looking at Emperor Yi's attitude, he was clearly serious. She had never treated him with such an expression and attitude. How could that be? I don't have a life of riches and honor, and I don't want to marry a spoiled princess. Yi Qinghan solemnly promised. Then why didn't you reject her in the palace? That spoiled princess is clearly moved. Emperor Yi was still glaring at Yi Qinghan. His eyes were clear, without a trace of distracting thoughts. No one dared to look directly at him. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly, and reached out to grab Emperor Yi. This little girl had suffered too much. He was her only family, and she was afraid that others would take him away. With such an attitude, it was clear that she wanted him to have more love, and she didn't want Yi Qinghan to be taken away by others. No wonder she was so hostile when she saw Xia Ziyue. Emperor Yi didn't appreciate it and took a step back. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and sadness. His eyes were red as he looked directly at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's heart softened. He said in a low voice, I promise that I won't marry that spoiled princess. Is that enough? Then go to the palace and make it clear to Xia Ziyue and Xia Chuntian of the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty. Tell them not to think too much. Emperor Yi was still worried. He glared at Yi Qinghan and said, Tsk. If you don't let Master marry and have children, are you going to marry him? Or are you going to let him be a bachelor for the rest of his life? The parrot jumped out and looked at Emperor Yi with a lustful expression. Slap. Emperor Yi raised his hand and slapped the parrot, sending it flying more than 10 meters. It rolled many times in a sorry state. If you dare to talk so much, I'll teach you a lesson. Emperor Yi said angrily. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. This girl was really angry today. Chapter 257. The parrot was a little dazed by this blow, and its eyes were seeing stars. It staggered to its feet and glared at Emperor Yi as it roared. You actually dared to hit this divine bird. This is the first time I've been hit. So what if I hit you? Do you have the ability to hit me back? I'm in a bad mood right now. Emperor Yi's young and pure face revealed an angry expression. She clenched her small pink fists and questioned repeatedly. I would have taught you a lesson a long time ago if it weren't for the fact that I can't beat you. The parrot's imposing manner weakened as it replied timidly. Is that so? So, you want to hit me? Emperor Yi glared at the parrot and said. The parrot retreated several steps. It was frightened by Emperor Yi's imposing manner. Then it swore solemnly, No. Absolutely not. You're my most respected and beloved little master. You're pure, cute, beautiful and smart. I can't wait to love you. How could I bear to hit you? Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. This parrot was extremely cheap. After repeatedly swearing and begging for mercy, Emperor Yi was finally appeased. Only then did Emperor Yi's complexion turn for the better. He also requested that the next time the Xia clan brought up this matter, Yi Qinghan would righteously refuse. Yi Qinghan agreed. Emperor Yi smiled through his tears. The parrot curled its lips and muttered, "A little girl will always be a little girl. She doesn't understand the meaning of asterisk 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 asterisk." Emperor Yi was in a good mood. He didn't argue with the parrot and let it escape. In the ancient massacre god palace, the two quasi-emperors were discussing the matter of the emperor's sword. Yi Qinghan stepped in with Emperor Yi. The palace was dazzling with golden light. It was extremely luxurious. The floor was covered with top-grade spirit crystals. The spiritual energy was oppressive. "Qinghan, why are you here?" Zuoxian and Qin Heng frowned and asked. Yi Qinghan bowed and said, "Greetings, Your Excellencies. I came here to ask about Chen Shui, and also to discuss an important matter with Your Excellencies." Zuoxian and Qin Heng saw that Yi Qinghan was not arrogant because of the human sovereign sword. Instead, he was respectful to them. They could not help but nod in satisfaction. "Chen Shui has been taken in as my last disciple. She's currently in seclusion. She should appear during the bestowed king battle." "You don't have to worry," Zuoxian said in a low voice. "What do you want to discuss with us? You have the human sovereign's sword. You can make decisions on small matters." Qin Heng looked straight at Yi Qinghan. Although he said this, he did not think this way. "This matter is not a small matter. I don't dare to make decisions on my own. You two are the top existences of the human race. You have made an indelible contribution to the glory of the human race. Your names will go down in history. I believe that Your Excellencies are far-sighted. You will definitely make the right decision and point out a bright path for the younger generation." Yi Qinghan had not said anything yet, but he had already put on a high hat. He wished he could say the best words, but that would be too fake. Zuoxian and Qin Heng blushed. They were very happy. Yi Qinghan had recognized and respected them. This was the happiest thing for them. This is all for the glory of the human race. The purpose of the ancient god of massacre was to protect the human race. We are the guardians of the ancient god of massacre. This is what we should do. Compared to our ancestors, our performance is nothing. Qin Heng said in a low voice. "That's right, this is nothing. This is what we should do. The past powerhouses of the ancient god of massacre have all sacrificed their lives for the human race. Yet, we are still struggling at death's door. This is shameful." Zuoxian's face was bright red. He restrained his emotions and excitedly said, "There is no need to be modest. Although I come from a small border region, I know of the ancient god of massacre's fame. Justice is in the hearts of the people. The two of you will definitely be remembered by the human race and will be immortalized for eternity." Yi Qinghan respectfully said. Although his words were half true and half false, Yi Qinghan's respect was not fake. "First, tell us what you came here for. If we can agree, then Brother Zua and I will not make things difficult for you." Qin Heng smiled. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and then said, "There is no hurry. First, I will tell the two of you something. It might affect the direction of your judgment." "What is it?" Zuoxian frowned and asked. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath, cupped his fists and said, "Today I entered the forbidden area with a wisp of guardian sword's aura and saw a great emperor of the human race. He is still alive. Moreover, he is the 9-star god of massacre of the ancient god of massacre." Boom. Zuoxian and Qin Heng's aura erupted. Their clothes fluttered and their eyes were as bright as the sun. They stood up and stared at Yi Qinghan. "What did you say? The 9-star god of massacre of the ancient god of massacre has defected?" Zuoxian and Qin Heng's eyes were filled with disbelief as they coldly shouted. "Yes. As for which great emperor it is not convenient for me to say because that supreme existence has not defected. He has not been stained with the blood of the human race. Moreover, he has already touched the threshold of immortality. However, no one has been born in the immortal realm for countless eras. Even the human sovereign cannot achieve this. I am afraid that in order to achieve immortality, he will lose his mind and slaughter the human race. At that time, even if a new great emperor is born, it will only be a situation where both sides will suffer losses." Yi Qinghan helplessly said his guess. "That's impossible. How could the 9-star god of massacre of the ancient god of massacre have defected?" Zuoxian and Qin Heng roared. Their palms had shattered the top-quality soul. Their aura had pushed Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi out of the hall. Please calm down. It is hard to say. After all, that great emperor has endured for tens of thousands of years, and still has not attacked the human race. It means that his heart is firm, and he does not want to defect. He is just relying on the forbidden land to comprehend the immortal realm. Yi Qinghan stepped back and bowed. Zuoxian and Qin Heng were silent. Their hearts were in turmoil. They did not know what to do. The forbidden land. What does it look like? Qin Heng was dispirited. He had wanted to kill his way into the forbidden land his whole life, but they did not even have the qualifications to enter. There are dead spirits everywhere. There are 2 great emperor-level dead spirits. The forbidden land is like a greedy poison. It makes people greedy for immortality, but they are imprisoned there for life. If I were to say, it is a prison of heaven and earth. It imprisons the thoughts of great emperor-level powerhouses and makes them slaves. Turn them into slaves, Yi Qinghan said honestly. Poison prison. Zuoxian smiled bitterly. He felt that he had aged hundreds of years. He felt that the ideals he had protected for thousands of years were so vulnerable today. Yi Qinghan knelt on one knee and begged in a deep voice. The Forbidden Land, the Ghost Emperor, they are all sharp swords hanging above the human race. They can explode at any time. Within 1,000 years, the human race will have a great emperor. I beg you, for the sake of the human race, to allow me to bring the disciples of the crazy sect and the great emperors to cultivate in the God of Killing's realm. We are fighting for the last chance of survival for the human race. Zuoxian and Qin Heng's eyes flashed. Bringing the great emperors and the people of the crazy sect into the God of Killing's realm had never happened before. Once there was a problem, the ancient God of Killing would be in danger. They are willing to swear the ancient God of Killing's vow. They will never defect. What's more, the 10,000 races and the human race are about to be destroyed. Why should we defend the mountains and rivers? If the mountains and rivers are not there, what is the use of killing the God of Killing's realm? Yi Qinghan raised his voice again and said sincerely, "Zai, I'm old. You can decide on this matter yourself. Or you can ask for Brother Dishang's opinion." Qin Heng waved his hand helplessly. He felt that the entire endless universe was shrouded in dark clouds and killing intent. Those 2 sharp swords would cut down at any time and completely reduce the human race to slaves. They would no longer have freedom. Zuoxian lamented. The arrival of the Golden Era must mean that the human race was in danger. Every time the Golden Era ended, the human race would face a great calamity. The human race would rise strongly and a new emperor would appear to suppress the calamity. However, the human race would also suffer heavy losses. The Golden Era this time was even more terrifying. The Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique and the Golden Bloodline had both appeared. No one knew what kind of calamity the human race would face this time, and whether the human race could survive it. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He had no choice but to tell them about the 9-star God of Killing's realm. He only hoped that the 2 great emperors would not interfere with his decision. He did not expect that the 2 old men's Dao hearts would be shaken. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi out of the main hall. He brought more than 10 princes and the crazy sect's disciples who could be nurtured into the ancient God of Killing's realm, and swore the ancient God of Killing's oath. Everyone, please remember today's oath. The ancient God of Killing's secret technique and divine ability that you have seen today must not be leaked. Otherwise, you will be regarded as a traitor, and will not be able to escape from the ancient God of Killing's realm. I will also take it as my duty to kill traitors. Yi Qinghan stared at everyone and said in a deep voice, "Brother Yi, don't worry. We are not that kind of people. As princes of the human race, we will all die for the human race. How would we dare to become traitors? I will be the first to kill them." Xia Qiyue held her cold sword tightly and said in a deep voice. Everyone nodded, especially Xikong Junqing and the others. They were especially excited. They were not princes and did not have the support of their families. They relied on their experiences to obtain the secret technique. If they could obtain the support of the ancient God of Killing's realm, becoming a true prince was just around the corner. Yi Qinghan carried Di Longtian, and led everyone to the god of killing's realm. The human sovereign sword was inserted into the barrier, and the god of killing's realm appeared in everyone's sight. This place was even more powerful than the blessed land of the Tao realm. It was definitely a peerless holy land for cultivation. The spiritual qi was so strong that it made Zhang Gu and the others' pores open. They were incomparably excited. The thousands of stone tablets were mighty and mighty. Divine light poured down like the Milky Way, making this world seem like a divine world. The stone tablets moved, and those who did not have a firm Tao heart would die just by looking at them. Among the younger generation of the insane sect, only Lin Wutian, Li Jiucheng, and Huang Xiaohu could enter. Everyone find a cultivation technique that suits you. Xiaohu, you go and cultivate a divine ability related to the law of gravity. You have never had an offensive secret technique. This time, you must seize the opportunity. Don't cultivate those 6 stone tablets. Those are the 6 path stone tablets. They contain the will of the great emperor. They can kill us instantly. Yi Qinghan reminded in a deep voice. Everyone dispersed and found a cultivation technique that suited them. Yi Qinghan did not cultivate any secret technique. Instead, he entered the palace. He flipped his hand and a supreme treasure with rich vitality appeared in his hand. It was the wood origin. Dishang was not willing to use it. Such a supreme treasure could not help him regain his life. In the end, he gave it to Yi Qinghan to help him cultivate the 9 revolution chaotic Tao body. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the ground and slowly absorbed the wood origin into his body. The vitality in his body was extremely rich. His vitality was so strong that it was almost burning. Chapter 258. The killing divine world was vast and mighty, connecting to the 9 heavens. The 10-colored divine splendor was like the Milky Way hanging upside down, sparkling with golden light. Zhang Gu, Xia Qiyue, and the others each chose a stone tablet. They were all mystical abilities and secret techniques from the ancient times, and were incomparably terrifying. See Wuxia's technique could actually be traced back to the ancient times. 9 Heavens Tyrant Dragon Technique. As long as one understood it thoroughly, they could transform into a tyrant dragon and roam the 9 heavens, suppressing all enemies. Together with the golden battle blood, no one could resist under their hands. Huang Xiaohu chose the heart explosion technique, which could instantly destroy the enemy's heart and destroy their vitality. This kind of secret technique was difficult to cultivate, but once a small success was achieved and the enemy was not on guard, it could definitely instantly kill a large-level existence. Lin Wutian cultivated the Emperor Sword technique bitterly, and merged it with the solitary sword Tao. His body transformed into a divine sword, without a trace of human aura. Emperor Yi was in an exceptionally good mood. He held the Enlightenment Divine Lotus in his hand, and made a face at Xia Ziluo. Xia Ziluo was furious, but she did not dare to make a move in the killing divine world. Otherwise, if she activated the forbidden spell, even a boundary emperor would be instantly killed here. I won't lower myself to your level. Xia Ziluo's mouth revealed a hint of disdain. She directly found a wordless stone tablet, and sat down cross-legged. Emperor Yi scanned the surroundings and came to the side of a huge stone tablet. This was the Space Law mystical ability, Extreme Tao Sky Severing Hand. When cultivated to the peak state, one could slice open the sky with a single hand. Across the star field, one could destroy a region. It was a true Tharch-level mystical ability. The bitter runes could burn a boundary emperor's soul. Without the support of a strong soul, it was impossible to cultivate this Tharch-level mystical ability. There were a total of more than 20 people. The mystical abilities that they chose were different, and the opportunities that they obtained were also different. Yi Qinghan was still in the main hall at this moment. The main hall was filled with vitality, and the wood origin profound filled the main hall. A massive 7th-grade dragon bone was placed at Yi Qinghan's side, exuding a rich dragon might. The blood and bone of a dragon that had been dead for countless years still hadn't decayed. It contained life force, and was equivalent to an elementary divine martial Tao soldier. Yi Qinghan was bathed in the river of blood. His body was crazily tearing at the wood elemental energy, and forcefully controlling it within his body. The Origin of Metal and the Divine Martial Imperial Codex were both helping Yi Qinghan. The wood elemental energy couldn't leave the main hall, and couldn't even leave the surface of his body. Yi Qinghan's body was constantly tempered, fusing the rank 7 dragon bone into his body. This type of dragon bone was extremely terrifying, and it was impossible to fuse with it. It constantly tore at Yi Qinghan's body, causing it to be filled with blood and bones. The Origin of Metal repaired the Dao body, while the Origin of Wood wandered around his limbs and bones. His vitality was dissipating because of the dragon bone. However, the Origin of Wood gave him an even stronger vitality. At this moment, he didn't have to worry about his vitality. He just had to endure the pain. Yi Qinghan's face twitched. Day after day, for 10 consecutive days, he completely fused the Origin of Wood and the Origin of Metal, forming a Dao body of metal, wood, and water. With the help of the boundless wood elemental energy, he finally dared to try to forcefully integrate the spatial laws into his Dao body. In an instant, his body disintegrated, and a bloody mist danced in the air. At this moment, if others were in the main hall, they would definitely be scared out of their wits by Yi Qinghan's craziness. It was too terrifying. Using the spatial laws to forcefully disintegrate one's own body. What kind of terrifying pain would one have to endure? Yi Qinghan's soul was unleashed to the extreme. Through the spatial patterns, he controlled each piece of flesh and used the wood elemental energy to instantly heal them, restoring his golden Dao body. After countless days of continuous bitter cultivation, Yi Qinghan finally fused 3 origins and 1 Dao law into his body. Moreover, he could mobilize these laws to disintegrate his body at any time, dispersing his opponent's attacks into nothingness. Once he could disintegrate his body into atoms and molecules, no one would be able to find Yi Qinghan, and no one would be able to harm him. Unfortunately, in order to reach this level, one's soul must be as strong as a quasi-emperor, or even a true emperor. At this time, Yi Qinghan had only fused a portion of the dragon bone. His arms had become the true bones of an azure dragon, and they could be used as immortal Dao weapons. One punch could shatter the defenses of immortal Dao robes and shatter the weapons. The tearing pain caused Yi Qinghan's consciousness to dissipate. He could only choose to temporarily stop tempering his body. More haste, less speed. Yi Qinghan tidied up his clothes and walked out of the hall. His aura was faintly discernible. Because of the dragon bone, the blood vessels in his arms were suffused with a golden glow. His blood was vigorous to the extreme, completely different from the other blood in his body. It actually showed signs of condensing into the bloodline of the dragon race. However, the 7th grade dragon bone was not a pure dragon, but a hybrid species. The bloodline was not of a high grade, so when the blood in his arms flowed to other parts of his body, it would be neutralized, unable to strengthen his body. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. He wanted to try and see if his peak attack could completely kill an immortal master. However, there was no chance for him at the moment. Yi Qinghan slowed down. Inside the stone tablet, he saw that the figures of everyone were faintly discernible, as if they were about to leave this world. He couldn't help but be surprised. He turned around and found Emperor Yi and Wuxia. He discovered that their bodies were in a phantom state, completely transparent. What Yi Qinghan didn't know was that the two had been directly sucked into the space inside the stone tablet, because they had comprehended part of the secret technique. They were now watching the moves of the Great Emperor's phantom. With the personal guidance of the Great Emperor, the two had improved by leaps and bounds. Wuxia stood proudly, looking at the barren space. The Great Emperor had transformed into a tyrant dragon, roaming the 9 heavens. His 5 claws shattered the heavens, and the domineering dragon aura suppressed all Daos. The momentum of heaven and earth was defeated. Anyone who faced the 9 heavens tyrant dragon art would become a weak ant. Roar! A golden dragon about 10,000 feet long stretched out its 5 claws, rushing out from the depths of the wilderness. It swept up the momentum of tens of thousands of miles. It was incomparably domineering. Just this aura alone forced Wuxia to retreat continuously. Even if the golden bloodline was fully activated and awakened, it couldn't withstand this domineering aura. Wuxia stood proudly, shooting out a ray of golden flame from his eyes. His golden hair fluttered in the wind, and he wanted to kill the golden dragon. The first move, Dragon Tail destroys mountains and rivers. The ancient great emperor's voice traveled through time and space. The tyrant dragon roared, and its giant tail swung out from the wilderness. Its aura soared into the galaxy, and the sky collapsed as it smashed into the ground. Wuxia felt that his heart was about to be shattered by this attack. His golden battle blood flowed backward, and he almost fainted. This was just a virtual move, an image left behind by the great emperor. But it could still pierce through time and space, killing countless experts. Fortunately, Wuxia had the golden bloodline, and his ability to control his blood qi was extremely powerful. Otherwise, just this attack alone could crush Wuxia's blood vessels and destroy his heart. Puff! Wuxia spat out a mouthful of golden battle blood, and retreated a few steps. His face was as pale as paper, and his blood vessels were bulging. His body was about to collapse. It was too terrifying. The Nine Heavens Tyrant Dragon art, once used by a fake great emperor, just this aura alone could kill Wuxia, who had the golden bloodline. Not to mention the great emperor personally used it. The second move, Tyrant Dragon Sky-Shattering Roar. The great emperor's voice was majestic, and it shook tens of thousands of miles. Even the stone tablet was shaking. It penetrated the shackles with a magnificent aura. The great emperor's ability was incomprehensible, and it was enough to overturn all heavenly Daos. The dragon head looked down at the earth, and Wuxia's pupils shrank. He felt that the dragon's eyes were aimed at him. This roar could definitely take away half of his life. Zung zung zung. No matter how strong Wuxia was, he did not dare to face the great emperor head-on. Even if it was just an image that spanned tens of thousands of years, he could only fly backward. His eyes were filled with horror, and he felt that death was approaching. Ah! Wuxia roared. His blood qi erupted, and his golden hair pierced through the void. It was as if an emperor had descended. The dragon's body bent, and it was borrowing the momentum to gather the power of heaven and earth. The dragon opened its mouth, and its fangs shattered the heavens. Roar! The roar continued. Suddenly, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. The barren world was filled with sand and stones, and the earth sank. Even the void was distorted and twisted into a fried dough twist. In the end, it could not withstand the roar and completely collapsed. A black hole formed in the void, and a violent storm tore the sand and stones apart. This place became the most terrifying hell on earth. Cough, cough, cough. Puff! Wuxia's eyes widened, and blood spurted out of his 7 orifices. He was unable to look at the third strike. His divine sense scattered, and his figure fell off the stone tablet, unconscious on the spot. Yiqinghan was shocked. He had comprehended a secret technique, and yet he had suffered such a heavy injury. What kind of cultivation technique had he comprehended? 10 steps combined into one, and Yiqinghan arrived in front of the stone tablet. He did not have time to look at the cultivation technique on the stone tablet. He quickly placed a 6th-grade healing saint pill into Wuxia's mouth. It melted in his mouth, and in an instant, Wuxia's body emitted a golden light. But his face was still twitching, and his face was pale. It was obvious that his divine sense had suffered a heavy injury. Yiqinghan did not hesitate to use the heavy mad saber to slash his right arm. But before blood could flow out, the Azure Dragon arm automatically healed. It was terrifying. Split! Yiqinghan frowned. He used the law of space and dripped 2 drops of dragon blood from his right arm into Wuxia's mouth. The essence blood seemed to be attracted by the golden blood, and immediately rushed to Wuxia's limbs and bones. A large amount of wood elements rushed into his sea of consciousness, helping Wuxia to heal his soul and divine sense. Wuxia's face finally became rosy. He opened his eyes slightly, and when he saw Yiqinghan, he was relieved and fell into a deep sleep. Yiqinghan stared at the stone tablet. The 9 Heavens Tyrant Dragon art seemed to have a golden dragon roaming around the stone tablet. It could break through at any time and enter this era. He could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. He sat cross-legged on the ground, and chose this cultivation technique. As long as he could reach minor accomplishment, he could condense his entire body into a true Azure Dragon body. His divine sense wrapped around the obscure runes as he slowly comprehended the 9 heavens tyrant dragon art. The dragon blood in his arms boiled, and his aura erupted. It affected the stone tablet, and directly dragged Yi Qinghan into the space inside the stone tablet. After arriving here, Yi Qinghan suddenly felt that he had arrived at the beginning of ancient times. Nothing had been born. Everything was barren, and the vicissitudes of life were overwhelming. A golden dragon hovered in the 9 heavens, overlooking all life on the earth. When it saw Yi Qinghan appear, it was as if it had come alive, and a bright light burst out. 9 heavens tyrant dragon art, golden body transforming dragon, can break all techniques. First move, dragon tail destroying mountains and rivers. Boom. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A giant golden tail that looked exactly the same as the one that Yi Qinghan was standing on broke through the void, and slapped towards the place where Yi Qinghan was standing. Yi Qinghan summoned Berserk, holding the saber with both hands. He borrowed the momentum to stand upright, and his eyes were filled with shock. The first move was already so terrifying. How many moves had Wuxia managed to withstand? Boom. The earth cracked, and the aura rushed to the stars. Yi Qinghan crossed his legs and remained motionless. A terrifying gully appeared under his feet. It was so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen. Yi Qinghan didn't care about this. Instead, he focused on comprehending this move. His black hair danced in the wind, and his clothes were shredded. The illusory attack was also unbearable. The dragon blood in the azure dragon arm boiled. The origin of metal protected the golden body, and the origin of wood constantly healed his injured body. The laws of space shielded part of the impact. The first move was blocked, but what about the second move? The golden dragon coiled. Borrowing the momentum of the heavens, it gathered on his body, and in the blink of an eye, he launched the second move. Chapter 259. In this savage space, there was no life, no laws and nothing. There was only a golden dragon phantom and Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's physical body cracked, but his wood origin was instantly repaired. His metal origin Dao body emitted golden light, illuminating the entire space. Second style, Tyrant Dragon Sky-Shattering Roar. Roar. The Tyrant Dragon attacked like a divine sword piercing through the void. It was unstoppable, and the earth crumbled continuously. Yi Qinghan's physical body exploded, and his blood rushed in reverse, trying to break through the shackles. Sung sung sung. Yi Qinghan stabbed his saber into the ground, but he couldn't stop himself from retreating. His physical body could explode at any moment, and the dragon roar could even extinguish his life force. If he didn't retreat, he would die. No matter how strong his will was, it couldn't be stronger than Audiobook. Separated by time and space, a virtual attack could defeat anyone. As long as Audiobook wasn't here personally, no one would dare to defy this aura. PFFF. Yi Qinghan coughed up blood, dyeing the ground red. His azure dragon arm continued to explode, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. How can this be? This is clearly an image. It's just an image that has been around for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. How can it have such a terrifying attack? If Audiobook were here personally, wouldn't the heavens fall and the earth rend? Yi Qinghan finally understood why Wuxia was so heavily injured. The second style had already caused his origin Dao body to collapse, and his blood to rush in reverse. If the third attack descended, it would definitely crush him instantly. No. I can't retreat. Yi Qinghan wasn't willing to give up. The second style hadn't severely injured him, and he still had the strength to stand up. If he retreated now, his Dao heart wouldn't allow it. His determination to prove his Dao wouldn't allow it. Ah! Yi Qinghan roared furiously, and it went head-to-head with the dragon roar. The dragon blood boiled, and it ran through his body. It instantly fused with a portion of the dragon bones, and his physical body became 30% stronger. Yi Qinghan was surprised and delighted. He didn't expect the dragon roar to strengthen the dragon blood in his azure dragon arm by a few hundred times, and increase the speed of refining the dragon bones. This was the best way to temper the body. Yi Qinghan's eyes were ferocious, and blood was gushing out of his 7 orifices. Just like Wuxia, he was almost killed by the second strike. However, Yi Qinghan managed to survive by relying on his original Taoist body. In addition, there was still a lot of wood element that had not been refined. It was just enough to help repair his physical body and completely merge with his physical body. It was a blessing in disguise. Yi Qinghan had not only withstood the second strike, but he had also completely subdued the wood origins. Furthermore, he had successfully melted a portion of the dragon bone and condensed a pair of legs, azure dragon arms, and azure dragon legs. Once he had completely condensed his corporeal body, he would be the first person to enter the immortal realm with his corporeal body. He might even be the first person to do so. Roar. Yi Qinghan let out a muffled roar, allowing fresh blood to gush out from his eyes. Light flickered as he stared fixedly at the illusory figure of the celestial dragon above the void. The celestial dragon was incomparably tyrannical and did not tolerate any blasphemy. It was thoroughly enraged that its second strike did not kill its opponent. Its 10,000 feet golden body swooped down from the universe and roamed the 9 heavens. One could only see the dragon head and not the dragon tail. Hiss hiss, Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. He was shocked by the Thearch's methods. Was this really just an illusory figure? Was this really just a manifestation of a secret technique? It was too real, too lifelike. It already had the strength to kill an immortal expert. Even an ordinary divine martial expert would not dare to face the Thearch's will. Third strike, 9 revolutions heavenly dragon style. Roar, 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 the golden dragon roared, and the golden body spun, occupying the sky. A terrifying vortex appeared between heaven and earth, as if it was going to suck in everything in the universe. Yi Qinghan's expression changed drastically. He stabbed his heavy berserk saber into the ground and planted his feet firmly. He used all his foundation, hoping that his corporeal body would not leave the ground. However, the terrifying tearing force could even uproot the ground, let alone a human. Ka ka ka. The ground continued to crumble, and the rocks that were comparable to the immortal sect's Tao soldiers were reduced to dust. Yi Qinghan only felt that his blood was about to shatter his blood vessels and be swept away by the tearing force. He was instantly shocked. At this moment he could not move any part of his body. His blood flowed in reverse and rushed to his brain, causing Yi Qinghan to lose the chance to resist. Large amounts of essence blood flowed out from his 7 orifices, nostrils, eyes, ears. Yi Qinghan's eyes were ferocious, and his face was distorted. It was terrifying to the extreme. The aura of death was descending, enveloping Yi Qinghan. Am I going to die? Is this really just a secret technique? Yi Qinghan was unwilling. It was not easy for him to reach this stage in his life. If he were to die in the hands of the enemy on the battlefield, it would be a worthy and glorious death. However, if he were to die in the hands of a stone tablet, under the aura of an aura, it would be too unjust. Sword of the Human Sovereign. Divine Martial Imperial Codex. Help me. I want to prove my Tao. I don't want to die. Yi Qinghan roared angrily, raising his head and roaring. His physical body was crumbling, and even the azure dragon arm seemed extremely fragile. His flesh was constantly being separated and rushed into the whirlpool. In the end, only his skeleton was left, and even his golden battle bones were breaking. The sword of the human sovereign finally moved. With a slight tremble, it cut through the void. Yi Qinghan's golden body seemed to be in another time and space. He looked at the space within the boundary stone from a distance, and saw the golden dragon circling around at high speed. The void was constantly being shattered, and even the spatial storms could not escape being torn apart by the heavenly dragon. Everything was reduced to dust and disappeared without a trace. The divine martial imperial codex was emitting divine light, and it kept swaying towards Yi Qinghan's golden body. The golden body was shining with golden light, and the origin of gold and the origin of wood exploded at the same time, constantly healing the wounded body. The flesh and blood returned to the golden body, and it became abnormally strong. Large amounts of dragon bones were forcefully shattered into dust and merged with the flesh and blood, condensing into one body. Arms, legs, torso, ribs, and finally the head. Yi Qinghan's soul was empty, and he allowed the golden body to reconstruct itself. His eyes were fixed on the other space, and the heavenly dragon was crazily circling around, breaking the earth and pulling it into the whirlpool. Everything would be crushed, and his face was pale. Fortunately, he had the human sovereign's sword and the divine martial imperial codex. Otherwise, even if there were 10 Yi Qinghan, he would still be pulled into the whirlpool by this tearing force, and then be crushed into pieces without leaving a corpse behind. This secret skill was not for cultivators in the realm of Tao Master, but for experts in the realm of Emperor-to-be. At the very least, they had to be fake emperors, or else they would not be able to withstand the second move, and would be knocked out of the space inside the stone tablet. Even Wuxia, who had the golden bloodline, could not do it. The difference in realm and strength was too great. It was unknown how long the golden dragon had been circling, and only the space and earth within a radius of 10,000 miles were intact. Yi Qinghan was shocked. Why did the 9 turns of the heavenly dragon style not stop? Was there a follow-up move? Roar. The next move of the sky dragon made Yi Qinghan's hair stand on end. Even if the space connection was cut off by the human sovereign's sword, his chi and blood were boiling, and his battle bones were broken. The sky dragon's head plunged into the whirlpool from the void above, and directly rushed down. The golden dragon roared, and the power of the sky dragon and the power of the whirlpool collided. This space suddenly collapsed, and the earth collapsed for millions of miles. The chi rushed into the Milky Way and flooded the entire space. The human sovereign's sword continuously slashed the void and protected Yi Qinghan within it. However, this chi wave ignored the space and directly broke through the shackles and crashed into Yi Qinghan. Even the stone tablet was broken. Yi Qinghan's body was blasted into pieces and crashed into a huge stone tablet behind him. His golden bones were broken, and his blood stained the god of death world. Boom. The stone tablet shook and was almost smashed into pieces. Puff. Not a single part of Yi Qinghan's body was intact. His flesh was badly mangled, and all his ribs were broken. He spat out a mouthful of golden blood and fainted on the spot. The horrifying scene of Yi Qinghan startled the people who were in seclusion. They were shocked and quickly rushed over, only to find that Yi Qinghan's flesh and blood were constantly wriggling. The origin of gold and origin of wood could not be repaired in an instant, and they needed time to recuperate. It was a disgusting sight. The golden light seemed to be a little dim. The attack of a great emperor was not something a peak Tao master could withstand. If it were not for the protection of the human sovereign's sword and the divine martial imperial codex, Yi Qinghan would definitely be dead. Such a terrifying secret skill was definitely not something that an ordinary person could cultivate. Although Yi Qinghan was unconscious, a little person appeared in his sea of consciousness and unconsciously repeated the 9 heavens tyrant dragon technique. Except for the lack of momentum, it was no different from the 3 attacks of the great emperor. What kind of secret skill is he cultivating? Wuxia was also severely injured, but his injuries were not too serious. As for Brother Ye's injuries, Heaven Palace God was shocked as he looked at the shattered stone tablet. It was like an ordinary stone that had turned to dust and scattered with the wind. It was as though the stone tablet did not exist. I don't know. The disappearance of the stone tablet means that he has comprehended this secret skill, but it will take a lot of time to cultivate it to the profound realm. Xiaqiyu slowly squatted down, and a golden elixir appeared in her hand. It was definitely a treasure in the world. At this moment, she crushed it without hesitation and sent it all into Yi Qinghan's body. Xia Ziluo gasped and looked at Xiaqiyu in shock. This elixir was one of the only 3 divine elixirs in the Tianlong sacred dynasty. She had one for herself, one for Xiaqiyu, and one for the Tianlong sacred dynasty. This elixir was enough to revive the dead, and it was a life-saving treasure. She did not expect that this cold brother of hers would give his second life to Yi Qinghan without hesitation. Yi Qinghan had the wood element in his body, and his recovery ability was very strong. At this moment, he had become even stronger. His divinity was radiating, and his flesh and blood were reborn, creating more powerful and rich dragon blood, exuding a terrifying aura. He had finally broken through to the great martial venerable realm from the peak Tao master realm. But his combat strength was hundreds, or even thousands of times more terrifying than in his previous life. Si Wuxia woke up from his coma and saw Yi Qinghan lying on the ground in a miserable state. Even his celestial robe had been shattered into dust. He knew that Yi Qinghan had also entered the stone tablet and experienced the third move. The fact that the stone tablet was shattered meant that Yi Qinghan had already comprehended this secret technique. Si Wuxia's mouth twitched slightly. His Taoist heart was not affected because in the eyes of the eccentric sect, Yi Qinghan was omnipotent. Even the two human sovereign physiques felt that they were not as good as this master in their hearts. How long have we been cultivating? Si Wuxia frowned and asked. Everyone shook their heads. They had been cultivating hard these days and did not know how long it had been. 27 days. Di Longtian raised his small head and stood up in front of a stone tablet. He replied seriously. How do you know? Haven't you been cultivating these days? Si Wuxia frowned. Obviously, he thought that he was the eldest senior brother of the crazy sect. He felt that Di Longtian was not doing his job properly and was actually wasting time in the killing god world. I have cultivated 3 divine arts and 5 secret skills. I feel that it is too boring, so I want to cultivate the stone tablet of the great path. But Big Brother and Father said that I can't cultivate it. Di Longtian replied, feeling wronged. Si Wuxia and the others rolled their eyes and cursed in their hearts. Damn, is this little guy here to discourage people? Cultivating secret skills and divine arts is like eating a meal. You even feel bored. Chapter 260. Yi Qinghan had been unconscious for a long time. His sea of consciousness was dark as if he had entered a chaotic world. There was no light, no time, and no laws. Everything was silent. Si Wuxia waited for Emperor Yi to come out of seclusion. She was still immersed in the boundary steel and didn't know what was happening outside. Boom. Her slender fingers turned into blades and slashed through the air. Heaven and earth were split into 2, and the steel shattered. Emperor Yi floated out. His temperament was captivating, and he was like a goddess overlooking all living things. Xia Qiyue and the others' pupils shrank. They were shocked by Emperor Yi at this moment. Emperor Yi held the enlightenment lotus in his hand. His eyes were deep and dazzling like the stars and sun. No one dared to look directly at him. Even the emperor-level existences felt that it was blasphemy to look at him. They all turned to look at the unconscious Yi Qinghan. Fortunately, Xia Ziluo hadn't woken up. She was still trapped in the wordless steel. No matter what happened outside, it couldn't affect her. Otherwise, with her personality, she definitely wouldn't be able to resist competing with Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi took 3 steps in 1 step and arrived in front of Yi Qinghan. Looking at the bloodied and wounded Yi Qinghan, he knew that he had also entered the steel. His soul had been severely injured. Otherwise, he wouldn't be unconscious like this. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, Emperor Yi stroked the 9 strings. The sounds of nature turned into heavenly spirit holy medicine, comforting Yi Qinghan's soul and sea of consciousness. The zither music intoxicated everyone. The rebellious Si Wuxia also stood quietly beside him. Di Longtian ran to Emperor Yi's side and stared straight into his eyes. At this moment, only he dared to get so close to Emperor Yi. He stared at Emperor Yi so seriously without any distracting thoughts in his eyes. Humph! With a deep and hoarse snort, Yi Qinghan's fingertips moved slightly. His body emitted a monstrous golden light that swept across the divine world. The human sovereign sword stood in the sea of consciousness, calmed down by the zither music. At this moment, even if the human sovereign came personally, he would be influenced by Emperor Yi. Human sovereign physique, zither immortal crimson demon physique. As expected of an existence comparable to a great emperor at the quasi-emperor realm, no one dared to stop him directly into the Forbidden Land. The 3 sovereigns of the early Desolation era could sweep through countless experts, sacred beasts, divine beasts, and the supreme existences in the Forbidden Land. They had faced true divine dragons, phoenixes, cheilants, black tortoises, and white tigers. They had also fought their way into the depths of the Forbidden Land and retreated safely. This was enough to prove that their strength was heaven-defying. Si Wuxia dared to fight anyone as long as they were of the same realm. Even crossing realms wasn't a problem. However, when facing Emperor Yi, his heart was always filled with reverence. Perhaps part of it was because of Yi Qinghan, but most of it was because he knew that he wasn't Emperor Yi's opponent. He admired Emperor Yi very much. The origin of wood combined with the origin of alloy and dragon blood rapidly repaired Yi Qinghan's body. His true energy transformed into a Taoist robe that fluttered in the wind. Yi Qinghan's soul was also rapidly recovering. His jade-like face finally regained its calm and became incomparably vigorous. There was a bit of dragon's might that was denser than ordinary hybrid dragon bloodline experts. Goo goo goo. Everyone could clearly hear Yi Qinghan's blood boiling in his body. It suppressed their aura. Although it was minimal, once Yi Qinghan's dragon blood evolved again, it would definitely greatly affect their combat strength in the future. Zhang Ge and company's mouths twitched. Yi Qinghan was chosen by the mortal emperor's sword. It wasn't just a matter of luck. His true combat strength was absolutely terrifying. His potential was limitless. It was very likely that he could create miracles and create unparalleled glory with his mortal body. Wang wang wang. The melody became more and more urgent and majestic. It pushed Yi Qinghan's blood and qi to the strongest state. His ability to produce blood exceeded the limit. Any injury could be quickly healed. An hour later, a smear of sweat appeared on Emperor Yi's forehead. His soul was extremely exhausted. This kind of guqin music wasn't something that could be played casually. It required a high concentration of the soul and a lot of effort. As everyone listened to the music, they all felt enlightened. They felt that their souls were unprecedentedly clear, and they had a deeper understanding of the secret Tao techniques from before. Although it was only an hour, it was better than half a year or even a year of bitter cultivation. Emperor Yi was the most precious treasure in the human world. Whoever could obtain her was destined to have a glorious life. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan enviously. Emperor Yi only recognized him in this life. This represented his fortune. Swish. Yi Qinghan's eyes widened. Light pierced through the clouds. His aura was majestic and was much more terrifying than the Saint Sun's. If he advanced to the immortal realm, it wouldn't be difficult to deal with the Emperor's son. My son, stop. Yi Qinghan's gaze swept past Emperor Yi. Looking at the exhausted her, a warm current flowed through his heart. He didn't know how to make her happier. The guqin music stopped abruptly. Emperor Yi smiled and asked gently, Master, does your soul still hurt? It's much better. Thank you for your hard work. Yi Qinghan smiled and slowly sat up. He rubbed Emperor Yi's head, wishing he could use all his gentleness on her. The parrot ran out of his body with an angry face. With a plop, it knelt in front of Yi Qinghan and roared, Master, please break the contract and let me fly freely. I'm destined to be alone in this life. This divine bird really doesn't dare to follow you anymore. You're not afraid of death, but I am. Emperor Yi laughed. Everyone held their bellies and laughed. This parrot was too strange. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. Such a shameless parrot was the only one in the world. It was impossible to find a second one. In the last 3 days, no one was in the mood to go into seclusion. Only Xia Ziluo was still cultivating under the wordless stone steel. She seemed to be comprehending a powerful secret technique. No one wanted to disturb her, so they all left. In the outside world, countless terrifying existences appeared in the imperial domain, all of them radiating terrifying killing intent. They were all people who had killed people like scything flax. Their Tao hearts were firm, and they had reached the peak step by step. Among the 10,000 races, the experts were peerless. The Sage Monarch clan had all been awakened, and some of the elites who had been sealed for thousands, or even tens of thousands of years had been awakened. As soon as they appeared, they swept through 10,000 enemies and forced the various heavens to submit. King Heavenequal of the Sage Monkey clan wielded a heaven-raising war staff. He crushed the heavens with his foot and suppressed an imperial child. His battle prowess was monstrous, and he wore a golden battle robe. He looked like the true emperor of the 10,000 races, looking down disdainfully on all living things. The appearance of King Heavenequal of the Sage Monkey caused the Qilin tigers to pale in comparison. The White Tiger Imperial clan, the Tiger Emperor, the Black Tortoise Sage clan, Xianjiutian, the Phoenix clan, Feng Ling and all the other top experts of the younger generation appeared. They were all strangers who had sealed themselves for countless years. They were incomparably powerful, and even the experts of the 10,000 races did not dare to blaspheme them. Everywhere they went, they only needed to submit. No one could stand. The experts of the 12 sage monarch clans had all appeared, and they were not inferior to the imperial children at all. They killed without hesitation, and with the ancient divine martial weapons in their hands, they could crush divine martial experts. The humans' expression changed drastically. They did not expect the 10,000 races to have such a terrifying foundation. Boom! The terrifying existences in the Dao realm's sacred grounds had all awakened, and they led the experts of the various races into the imperial domain. Zhanggu, Xiaqiyue, and the others received many messages, and the corners of their mouths rose slightly. The ancestors of the battle clan who sealed themselves in the Dao realm have awakened. They are at the 9th level of the Immortal Gate, and they can suppress everything. Zhanggu clenched his iron fist and said excitedly, "The previous imperial child of the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty has also awakened. It's my uncle." Xiaqiyue's eyes were filled with battle intent. These ancestors who had sealed themselves in the 9th level of the Immortal Gate could kill experts at the beginning stage of the divine martial realm. They were the foundation of the human race. 7 experts with special bloodlines have also awakened in the alliance. Including the 2 from this generation, there are 9 in total. I, the ancient massacre god, am requesting for the supreme existence to awaken. In this generation, the human race may not lose to the 10,000 races. The heavenly palace god also received the message and said excitedly. Yi Qinghan's fingertips moved slightly. These people were all at the peak of the Immortal Gate, and he, as a great martial venerable, could not do anything at all. Once he encountered these people, he could only retreat. Only Emperor Yi could fight them. After all, the divine zither had always been in a state of awakening. With its support, those terrifying supreme emperors could only stand aside. Looks like I have to use my foundation. I will enter the Immortal Gate realm first, and then suppress my realm, just in case. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He had just broken through to the great martial venerable realm, and if he broke through to the Immortal Gate realm, his battle strength would naturally decrease. This was not what he wanted. This generation's golden era had come too quickly, and he was caught off guard. In 3 days, Yi Qinghan returned to the massacre god's world alone. Time passed quickly. Qitian Monkey King, Xian Jiutian, and the other experts had all arrived. The human race and the 10,000 races' fake emperors personally came out to welcome them, and gave them a certain amount of respect. They were too strong, too powerful, and this respect was deserved. Qitian Monkey King and the others only nodded slightly to the fake emperors. However, the fake emperors could only smile apologetically, and did not dare to say anything. The Qilin tiger's expression was ugly. These terrifying existences were actually receiving such high treatment, while he, a member of the royal family, could not receive the respect of the human race's fake emperors. He felt uncomfortable. The human race experts of the eternal battlefield also retreated. They were full of killing intent, and they were like killing gods. There were at least a few hundred of them, and all of them were strong candidates for the top 1,000. In this generation's conferred king battle, there were only 1,000 people. This battle was destined to pile up blood and bones like mountains, and there was no distinction between races. This was the best opportunity to break the hatred between races. The quasi-emperors all came out and looked at the experts of their respective races with smiles on their faces. Welcome to the revival of my friends. Welcome to the golden era that is rarely seen in 10,000 years. The safety of the endless universe depends on you. The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor was incomparably majestic, and he looked coldly at the experts. Greetings, Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor. The experts of the royal family did not dare to blaspheme. The Azure Dragon tribe was the representative chosen by the Dragon Emperor. No one dared to disrespect the Azure Dragon tribe, and it was equivalent to disrespecting the Dragon Emperor. No race could withstand the wrath of the Dragon tribe. There's no need to be so polite. The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor nodded slightly. Just as he was about to speak, the wind and clouds suddenly changed, and the great Tao rumbled. The 9 heavens' divine light poured down like a waterfall, drowning the ancient massacre god's territory. Boom boom boom. The great Tao wailed, and 10,000 laws wailed, as if they were mourning. The ancient massacre god's body emitted a death chi that rushed into the clouds. Everyone was shocked as they looked at the ancient massacre god. A terrifying aura rose, as if a great emperor had descended. The experts of 10,000 races were shocked, and the human race experts directly knelt down. Boom. The 2 quasi-emperors, Zhuoxian and Qin Heng, had ashen faces. They knelt down and cried loudly. We respectfully send off Tao friend Di Shang to the Tao and ascend to the heavens. Di Shang had transformed into the Tao, and it was as if a great emperor had fallen. Strange phenomena appeared, and 10,000 creatures mourned. Chapter 261. The heavens and earth wailed, and the myriad of laws wailed. A sorrowful aura filled the air, affecting everyone's emotions. The expressions of the ancient massacre god and the others changed. Even the boundary emperor cried. Di Shang had fought for his entire life and made great contributions to the human race. But in the end, he couldn't escape the fate of death. His death was directly related to the battle with the Ghost Emperor. The Azure Dragon Boundary Emperor sighed. Di Shang's position in the human race was like his position in the myriad of races. If the human race didn't have Di Shang, the ancient massacre god would have declined long ago, and the human race would be even more miserable. Who would have thought that they would die so quickly? They didn't even have the time to witness the prologue of the Golden Era. They were only 2 days away. Di Longtian's face was pale. He couldn't sense Di Shang's aura at all. Father! The young Di Longtian was helpless. He looked at the ancient massacre god, and then looked at Emperor Yi, hoping that this big sister would help him make a decision. Follow me. Screech. A divine eagle's cry shook the mountains and rivers. Emperor Yi spread his wings and carried Di Longtian over the heads of the crowd, rushing towards the ancient massacre god. The 7th grade god-slaying eagle and Emperor Yi instantly attracted the attention of the myriad of races, including the heroes of the human race. They were just born and didn't know who Emperor Yi was. They couldn't help but be curious. The insane sect's disciples looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Wuxia forcefully led the group forward. They found an empty space and waited for the Boundary Emperor's orders. Zhuoxian and Qin Heng sat on the ground dispiritedly. They didn't have the prestige of a Boundary Emperor anymore. After suffering so many setbacks, they already had thoughts of retiring. Millions of experts gathered outside Emperor Abyss City. The elites of the myriad of races and the human race didn't gloat. They all looked respectfully at the sky above the ancient massacre god. Divine radiance filled the sky, and divine light shot out in all directions. The source of all laws and the myriad of Daos in the world had all descended. A divine screen hung in the sky as if it was guiding the soul of an emperor expert. It was no different from a great emperor transforming into the Tao. Di Shang's death was a great loss to the human race. The hero of the human race, Taoist Di Shang, will transform into the Tao today. The golden era of the endless universe will begin today. Let the countless beings in the endless universe never forget him. Heroes, regardless of race, are immortal. The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor's voice was low as he stared at the myriad of spirits, his emperor's aura oppressing everyone. Let us salute the hero. Whoosh! Millions of powerful beings pounded their chests with their right hands and bowed toward the ancient killing god. Qin Heng and Zhuoxian's eyes flashed as they slowly stood up. They looked at the tens of thousands of disciples behind them and shouted, "We respectfully send fellow Taoist Di Shang off. As the ancient killing god, I have no regrets even if I die. As the ancient massacre god, I have no regrets even if I die." Boom. Tens of thousands of people stomped their feet, shattering the earth. Killing intent rushed into the heavens, and their killing robes fluttered in the wind. Their auras were oppressive, and their battle intent soared into the heavens. Whoosh! When the sovereign realm learned that Emperor Shang had died, they didn't need anyone to say anything. They all knelt in front of the ancient god of slaughter's territory, and wept in grief. The azure dragon stared as the divine light gradually dissipated. He clenched his fists and said in a low voice, "The golden era of the endless universe has begun. The king-conferring battle will begin today. From today onwards, the endless universe will change eras. It will be called the era of Emperor's Fall. Remember, today is the day that Emperor Shang fell, the day that the golden era begins. Only then will the era change. The wild era, ancient era, ancient era, ancient era, divine martial era. And now it was once again the era of Emperor's Fall. Every time an era changed, the endless universe would experience terrifying events. This time, the era that changed was purely because of Emperor Shang's fall and the opening of the golden era. Everyone fell silent. No one objected. The reason that Emperor Shang had died was because of the Ghost Emperor. He had used the human sovereign sword to injure the Ghost Emperor's soul, allowing him to return to the Dead Star. He was the one who had saved humanity and countless lives. All participants must register with the ancient massacre god. No one is allowed to rely on their combat strength to ignore the rules. Boom! Ka, with the sound of thunder, lightning flashed across the void. The sky suddenly brightened. At the beginning of September, it was a scorching hot time. But heavy snow fell from the skies, instantly submerging the sovereign realm. A great emperor has fallen. Snow drifts for 10,000 miles. The quasi-emperor's expressions changed. Emperor Shang was not a great emperor, and was far from that. How could snow drift for 10,000 miles and submerge the sovereign realm? This is the scarlet snow physique. Qinxue has come out of seclusion. Zuoxian was overjoyed as he stared at the ancient massacre god. Jian Qinshue's clothes were as white as snow. She stepped on a snow dragon and entered everyone's sight. Her peerlessly beautiful face was captivating. She was like a goddess who had descended, pure and holy without a trace of impurity. Sister Shui. Yi Mingxi was overjoyed. The insane sect had another super expert. It was safer now. Jian Qinshuo was incomparably majestic. Her aura suppressed everyone, making them unable to raise their heads. Only some princes and super experts stared at her, their eyes flickering. Mengxi, where is brother Qinghan? Jian Qinshuo smiled and waved her hand. The snow dragon dispersed and landed in front of the insane sect. Her heavenly voice made people's hearts itch. Brother is in the ancient massacre god's massacre god world. You've finally come out of seclusion. There is no one in charge of the insane sect now. Yi Mengxi's expression dimmed as she whispered, "What's wrong?" Jian Qinshuo noticed that everyone was staring at her. The entire sovereign realm was filled with sorrow. She could not help but ask. Senior Di Shang has transformed into the Tao. Sister Huang has also gone over. Jian Qinshuo raised her eyebrows and looked at Zuoxian. She realized that he had the same expression. Di Shang had transformed into the Tao. It seemed like the human race would have a hard time in the future. Qinshuo, it's good that you've come out of seclusion. When the king-conferring battle begins, you will represent the ancient massacre god. Zuoxian said in a deep voice. Master, I will not disgrace the human race. However, I want to represent the insane sect. Jian Qinshuo bowed slightly and said firmly. The corner of Zuoxian's eyes twitched. It was not easy to cultivate a super genius disciple. However, she was taken away by Yi Qinghan. The scarlet snow body was also a great emperor physique. Si Wuxia and Emperor Yi both had Renhuang physiques. Yi Qinghan had been chosen by the Renhuang sword. Was the insane sect trying to defy the heavens? Qin Heng and Zuoxian's expressions changed slightly. It did not matter who Jian Qinshuo represented. After all, Yi Qinghan belonged to the ancient massacre god. Although Yi Qinghan represented the insane sect, the human tribe still remembered the ancient massacre god. Alright, you want one of the top 10. Zuoxian shouted in a dignified manner. The top 10 was a terrifying ranking. Even an imperial prince would not dare to say that he could obtain such a ranking. Yet, Zuoxian wanted it just like that. The experts of the 10,000 races could not help but smile as they looked at Jian Qinshuo with disdain. Jian Qinshuo was now at the beginner stage of the immortal sect. No matter how strong his physique was, it would be very impressive if he could get into the top 100. Within the God of Slaughter's world, Yi Qinghan used a supreme treasure to break through to the immortal gate realm, and his cultivation rose rapidly. Early stage of Great Martial revered, middle stage of Great Martial revered, peak of Great Martial revered. The supreme treasure, the rank 8 divine pill, was brimming with power. It crushed Yi Qinghan's shackles as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. In just 2 short days he entered the peak state. Large amounts of dragon bones were condensed into his physical body. His physical body first stepped into the immortal realm. His cultivation base soon followed, and his divine sense could sense countless layers of space. Yi Futian's soul also surged rapidly, becoming abnormally powerful. The space around him appeared in his sea of consciousness. Then he probed out of the death divine world and looked at the imperial district. He sensed that Ren Huangyi was leading Di Longtian outside the death divine world. He flicked his finger, and the Ren Huang sword shot out. The barrier outside the death divine world dispersed. "Father!" Di Longtian rushed into the main hall, tears streaming down his face. Yi Qinghan's expression flickered, and he stood up. His robes fluttered in the wind as he blocked Di Longtian's path. Sighing sadly, he hugged the little fellow. "Little Tian, your father has gone far away. You have to remember his glory. A real man should stand tall. Don't disappoint him, okay?" Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. "I can't sense my father's existence." Di Longtian stared at the golden pagoda, wanting to step on it. Yi Qinghan's nose twitched. He took out an emperor's robe from his Qian Kuan ring and said softly, "Master left this emperor's robe for you. It's to protect your life. Don't use it unless it's a critical moment. Otherwise, if people find out that you're master's son, you'll be hunted down by countless people. Do you understand?" The emperor's robe automatically flew into Di Longtian's body and shrunk continuously, protecting him. "Let him rest quietly. He's too tired." Yi Qinghan hugged Di Longtian and glanced at Xiazi Luo, who was still in seclusion. Then, he pulled Emperor Yi out of the death god's world and took the emperor's sword. They went to the main hall of the ancient death god. Yi Qinghan retracted his aura and returned to the great martial honored realm. No one knew that he had broken through to the celestial realm. This was his foundation just in case. The crazy sect did not have any peerless cultivators, so Yi Qinghan had to be careful. These terrifying monstrous physiques needed his protection. Yi Qinghan brought the 2 of them to the spiritual medicine hall of the ancient death god. He took out the emperor's sword and took away a large amount of spiritual medicines and treasures. The fake emperor felt his heart ache, but he couldn't stop him. Yi Qinghan stared at Di Longtian and said in a low voice, "Take some each. The king-conferring battle has already started. Little Tian, you're not allowed to participate. When the king-conferring battle is over, I'll take you to the ancient battlefield. You'll have a chance to soar into the sky sooner or later, but don't rush. Do you understand?" Now the crazy sect couldn't protect the divine dragon body at all. Once it appeared, people from the Forbidden Land would definitely come out and kill Di Longtian, not to mention Di Shang's enemies. "I understand, big brother. I won't let daddy down." Di Longtian's young voice was filled with tears, making people feel pity for him. The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched slightly. This child was really pitiful. Although he was only 6 years old, he already had the strength of an early-stage Tao master. More importantly, no one knew how many divine senses and secret skills he had mastered. In the outside world, countless experts were lining up to sign up for the king-conferring battle. Wuxia was so strong that he occupied the front row. Even if there were experts at the level of sovereigns from thousands of clans who wanted to fight for a spot, they were all pushed back by him. Yi Qinghan took Emperor Yi and flew high. The wind whistled and snow flew for thousands of miles, drowning the crowd. Boom! Yi Qinghan came to the front of the crazy sect, and found that Zhang Ge and the others had already returned to their clans. The crazy sect was still the same, but with the addition of Xikong Qingjun and the others, their momentum was not weak. Looking at Jian Chenxue, he found that her temperament had changed greatly. They looked at each other and smiled. 1,000 words were contained in that smile. Chapter 262. The king bestowing battle was also an elimination round. A large number of people would be eliminated, leaving behind the true experts. Then they would fight one-on-one. No one knew how many people would die. Everyone held a life tablet in their hands, waiting for the quasi-emperor's instructions. Our endless universe has a very unique space. It was personally created by the 2 emperors of the human race, and the 10,000 races during the primordial age. Only souls are allowed to enter. You can develop a physical body to fight and train. This space can reduce the deaths of young disciples. However, there is also a flaw. Those with strong souls will have an advantage, while those with strong physical bodies will be suppressed inside. Therefore, it is unfair. However, there is no absolute fairness in the endless universe. If you want to become an emperor and prove your Tao, if your physical body is strong but your soul is not, proving your Tao is a pipe dream. It is only natural that you will be eliminated. The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor shouted, his voice echoing for thousands of miles. This space is called the Endless Space. It has been sealed for hundreds of thousands of years. The Age of Emperors has begun once again. All of you will enter together, and use your souls to fight. There is no distinction between races or realms. If your life tablet is taken, your soul will fall out of the space. That means you are eliminated. It is not that no one will die in this space, but the death rate will be greatly reduced. However, it is best that you do not enter the Grand Marshal Honorables. The Golden Era is the era of the immortal sex emperors. Their souls can instantly destroy yours. If your soul dies, your physical body will also die. Therefore, I hope that you will carefully consider whether to participate in this generation's king-bestowing battle. The Golden Era was the glory of the emperors. However, it was also the sorrow of some experts. If one's realm was slightly lower, they would only become a stepping stone for others. The Qilin tiger glanced coldly at Yi Qinghan and revealed a sinister smile. He taunted disdainfully, "Little thing, you better not enter the endless space. Otherwise, I will hunt you down for millions of miles and make you the laughingstock of the endless universe." The endless space was only about the strength of one's soul. Weapons could not enter at all, not even the human sovereign sword. Only souls could enter. Yi Qinghan's foundation was not there, so the Qilin tiger did not care about him. "Don't worry, I will not disappoint you. See you in the endless space." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed as he replied coldly. The two of them were secretly communicating with each other, their killing intent radiating in all directions. However, the others were oblivious. "Listen up, there are no treasures in the boundless space, so there's no need to search for treasures. All you need to do is eliminate all your opponents and take the life tokens. One life token is worth 1 point. And the more points you have, the greater your chances of advancing to the next level." The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor continued. Everyone's expression changed slightly. They could no longer trust their teammates. Anyone could be betrayed. Even if they were from the same clan, in order to ascend to the next level, they would even lay their hands on their family. Who would dare to form a team without a life-and-death relationship? The endless space is everywhere. It's so big that it's boundless. It's like a real universe. You'll be teleported there. There's no fixed location. Even if you want to form a team, it's impossible. The Golden Era is the era of individual soldiers. All of you participants, stay where you are. Those who are not participating, leave this place. We quasi-emperors will send your souls into the seamless space, while your physical bodies will remain here. We will do our best to protect you. No physical body can be destroyed. You can fight in peace." Yi Qinghan frowned. Many people from the insane sect could not participate. They had to be sent to the killing god's world. Yi Qinghan took out the emperor's sword and handed it to Di Longtian. He said in a deep voice, "Bring your brothers and sisters into the killing god's world to cultivate. Do not touch the great stone tablet. Do you hear me?" The Nine Heavens Tyrant Dragon, art was only a stone tablet that was second only to the origin of laws and the great Tao. Even so, it had almost killed Yi Qinghan. If it was the great stone tablet, it could definitely kill the juniors of the insane sect. Screech. The god-slaying eagle left its body as well. Yi Qinghan handed the juniors of the insane sect to them and said, "You go to the god-slaying world as well." Protect these juniors well. Don't try to comprehend the techniques and divine abilities on the stone steels in the god-slaying world. They're too dangerous. You can cultivate the other steels to your heart's content. The god-slaying eagle was grateful and nodded desperately. Yi Qinghan was indeed very kind to them. Go and protect them well. Don't leave the killing god's world and don't enter the golden pagoda. This is an order. Yi Qinghan handed Taiwa and the other juniors to the god-slaying eagle and flew into the sky, disappearing outside the imperial abyss city in the blink of an eye. At this moment, only a few people were qualified to participate. Jian Qinxue, Emperor Yi, and Si Wuxia could definitely participate. Yi Mingxi's soul was unusually strong. Even if she couldn't kill many enemies, she could protect herself. Huang Xiaohu and Lin Wutian were both strong-willed people. Shi Gu, Feng Wuxia, Nangong Xiaobei, and Li Jiufeng were qualified to participate. Nangong Qingyue was also sent into the killing god's world. Mu Yu Tianchen, Huang Tian, Xikong Qingjun, and the others made a total of 18 people. They were all from the insane sect. My son, you must be careful when I'm not around. Yi Qinghan was worried about Emperor Yi and said in a low voice, Don't worry, master. It's not a problem for me to kill a low-level immortal sect emperor's disciple. I can protect myself against mid-level emperor's disciple. Emperor Yi said proudly. She could definitely fight across realms with her soul alone. Buzz. A sword rainbow pierced through the clouds, and the spirit chi within 1,000 miles was instantly sucked dry. Xia Ziluo descended like an emperor patrolling the area, stunning everyone. If I don't show up, what kind of golden era is this? Xia Ziluo said indifferently. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Looking at Xia Ziluo, who looked like she was in her teens, they were stunned by her arrogance. If she didn't show up, it wouldn't be a golden era. She was really looking down on everyone. Humph, reckless little girl. Wait until you enter the endless space before being arrogant. The Qilin tiger snorted disdainfully. I'll beat you into submission and take you as my mount. Xia Ziluo floated down and said domineeringly. The Qilin tiger was furious. It had the bloodline of the white tiger and the Qilin, which was definitely the bloodline of an emperor. Yet it was actually mocked by a little girl from the human race. It couldn't help but feel murderous. However, before it could say anything, Emperor Yi stepped out and declared war in an even more domineering manner. This little tiger is my mount. Xia Ziluo, if you don't believe me, let's make a bet. If I win in the future, when you see me and my master, you'll take a detour and get lost. This almost made Xia Ziluo jump up in anger. Her jade-like finger trembled as she pointed at Emperor Yi, her whole body trembling. You little brat. Are you trying to fight me? Xia Ziluo rebuked angrily. Yes, I'm trying to fight you. Do you dare to bet? Let's bet on who can make this little tiger their mount. Emperor Yi said coldly. Fine. I don't believe I can't win. If I win, what will you do? Xia Ziluo asked. If you win, you have the final say. Emperor Yi was incomparably arrogant and didn't care about Xia Ziluo at all. The Qilin tiger was furious. These two little girls were using it as a wager. They didn't put it in their eyes at all. Roar. The Qilin tiger raised its head and roared, its aura rising. The aura of the 7th tier of the Immortal Gate forced back countless experts around it. Its crown shone with golden light, and its emperor's robe danced in the wind. You two, I'm going to tear you to pieces. Enter the boundless space and act arrogantly in front of me. Emperor Yi said domineeringly. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. These two little girls were competing again. They were using each other's royal bloodline as a wager to suppress each other and make them their mounts. Could it be that they wanted to become empresses? Only great emperors could have such mounts when they were young. Qitian Monkey King, Xianjiutian, Fengling, and the other experts of the sacred clan squinted their eyes and looked at Xia Ziluo and Emperor Yi. A strange expression appeared on their faces. However, these existences who had sealed themselves for 10,000 years didn't take the elites of this era seriously. Even if the Qilin tiger wanted to carry their shoes, they had to consider whether they wanted it or not. Can you count me in for your wager? I know what your real wager is. I want it too. Jian Chenxue smiled and said, "Pfft." Yi Qinghan almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Jian Chenxue didn't care about the severity of the matter and wanted to interfere. Emperor Ye's aura turned cold. When it came to Yi Qinghan, everyone had to step aside. Her possessiveness was extremely strong. Yi Qinghan's love could only be given to himself, not to Jian Chenxue, because if someone shared a little with him, they would share more with him. The Qilin tiger was furious. It was so angry that it spat out blood. Golden blood spurted out and corroded the rocks. It glared at the three beautiful women in front of it and wanted to kill them all with one palm. Jian Chenxue sensed a trace of hostility from Emperor Yi. He smiled faintly and said indifferently, "My son, I don't want much. If I win, I can share it with you. If you win, I will immediately leave in defeat. I will never appear in front of you." Everyone was confused. They didn't know what treasure these three beauties were fighting for. However, Xia Qiyue and the others knew that Emperor Yi and Xia Ziluo had been fighting for a long time. The treasure was obviously Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. When did he become a wager? However, the Qilin tiger was the most annoyed. It was the wager on the surface, and it was a wager on whose mount it would become. It was a great humiliation. I will control your souls and make you suffer the humiliation of being under my crotch. I will repay you for the humiliation you gave me today. The Qilin tiger was extremely violent. There weren't many people around. Even the emperor-level existences didn't want to provoke it anymore. It was crazy. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He looked at the Qilin tiger coldly. There was killing intent in his eyes. In terms of possessiveness, no one was stronger than him. Emperor Yi was the most important relative in his life. No one could humiliate him. Jian Chenxue had been with him since he was in the Sky Sword sect of Owl Falling Star. At that time, he was weak, but she didn't leave him and took care of Madame Wang and Yi Mingxi. This kind of affection couldn't be expressed with words. Whoever humiliated the two of them was courting death. I don't need you to be my mount. You definitely won't be able to leave the endless space unless you throw away your life card and run away with your tail between your legs. Yi Qinghan said coldly with killing intent. Yi Qinghan also declared war, which shocked countless experts. Yi Qinghan and the others were just nobodies. They had never heard of them. Now they all declared war on the Qilin tiger. It was as if they were treating the Qilin tiger as a soft persimmon to be squashed. Chapter 263. People from the crazy sect continuously challenged the Qilin tiger, which infuriated the Qilin tiger. Who would dare to disrespect the supreme bloodline of the royal family? Today he was humiliated continuously. Kikik. The Qilin tiger was furious. The royal bloodline was awakened. He clenched his fists and his voice was as cold as ice. People from the crazy sect, good. I will remember you. I hope you will not be defeated too early. The Qilin tiger said coldly. Many quasi-emperors looked curiously at the people from the crazy sect. Except for Emperor Yi, who was somewhat famous, the others were not. They did not understand why they challenged the Qilin tiger so aggressively. Since everyone is impatient, let's relax. We will work together to open the endless space and send you in. Life and death will be determined by fate. The blue dragon quasi-emperor said in a deep voice. The Qilin tiger's mouth twitched. He took a deep breath and glanced at the people from the crazy sect. He remembered all of them in his mind. A strong murderous intent flashed in the corner of his eyes. Sikong Qingjun and the other experts sneered. Obviously, they also wanted to kill. These people were extremely terrifying. Those who had survived independently in the eternal battlefield had strong survival skills. If they worked together, even those who had sealed themselves for thousands of years might not be able to survive, let alone the emperor's son. Boom. Dozens of quasi-emperors tore the space apart at the same time and found the endless space. They opened it. The endless space was restored. Countless mountains and rivers covered it. It was vivid and lifelike, with flowing water and green mountains and white clouds. It was like a real world, boundless and magnificent. Everyone gasped. How strong were the human emperors? This was already a heaven-defying act. the laws, the origin, and the great Tao were all here. This meant that the two human emperors had comprehended all the laws and the origin of the great Tao. This was beyond the scope of a great emperor. How terrifying would one's talent and will be needed to comprehend all the origin laws of the great Tao in one's lifetime. Those who did not have a strong Tao heart would have their Tao heart shattered when they saw this space. They would have no hope of proving their Tao. Yi Qinghan was also shocked. The space in front of them was not a man-made space. It was clearly a real universe. Bluebirds flew, eagles soared, and fierce beasts roared. The great Tao space was unusually stable. Even martial gods could not destroy it. Even if a corner of it was broken, it would be repaired by the Emperor Ray. It's too perfect. Emperor Yi exclaimed softly as he held on to the divine lotus of enlightenment. Jian Chenxue smiled and waited for the quasi-emperor's next instructions. Everyone, relax and place your life tablets in your sea of consciousness. Once we sense your life tablets, we can capture all of your souls into the space. If you want to stop fighting, immediately give up your life tablets. Within 3 breaths, you will be automatically ejected out of the endless space. Quasi-Emperor Songlong warned. Hundreds of thousands of quasi-emperors worked together to control the surroundings. Their spiritual senses entered the sea of consciousness of the countless elites, preparing to send them all into the boundless space. Whoosh! Countless souls were randomly teleported and appeared in the boundless space. The boundless space was vast and boundless, like a true boundless universe. However, there was only one plane here, and there were no stars. As soon as the powerhouses of the 10,000 races entered the space, they were all in their peak states, manifesting their true forms. Human race, rat race, giant ant race, tree race, giant race, sage monkey race, fox race, golden eagle race. There were many races here. Some races had never appeared before, the hybrids of powerful life forms. They were incredibly strong, able to tear through the void. The expert of the Azure Dragon race, Song Ao, transformed into a human. He held a supreme dragon bone in his hand and swept through everything. When he attacked, he tore apart the physical bodies manifested from the souls of the powerhouses, instantly killing their souls. No one could escape his attack. The Heavenly Monkey King held a war rod in his hand and looked around. He discovered a huge stone stele and walked over to take a look. There were the words, 99 battle zones carved on it. What does this mean? The Heavenly Monkey King frowned and looked behind the stone stele. He discovered another stone stele with the words, 98 battle zones. Is there a difference? The Heavenly Monkey King felt very curious. He held the war rod and walked over to the 98 battle zones. Just as he arrived before the stone stele suddenly shone with a divine light, enveloping the world and blocking the Heavenly Monkey King outside. There are still people in the 99 battle zones. You are not allowed to fight in other battle zones. 10 odd large words flashed on the stone stele. The divine light fluctuated, seizing one's soul. The Heavenly Monkey King came under the stone stele and discovered some small words carved on it. After reading it carefully, he couldn't help but smile coldly. When fighting across zones, one soul would carry the divine gravity chain, and their combat power would be weakened by 1%. Every battle zone would give birth to a supreme expert. Only by killing the supreme expert in the battle zone would one be able to enter the next battle zone. After crossing over, a second divine gravity chain would appear, and their combat power would be weakened by another 1%. After crossing over 100 battle zones, one's physical body would enter the endless space. Only by relying on one's physical body could one defeat all living beings and prove one's Tao. So that's how it is. The Heavenly Monkey King held the war rod tightly and killed his way back to the 99 battle zones. Everywhere he passed, those who didn't hand over their life tokens would be killed. The other party didn't even have a chance to resist. There were a total of 100 battle zones. Each battle zone was vast and boundless. They cycled around each other, forming a huge prototype battle zone. Every battle zone had a terrifying prince. Under normal circumstances, the prince would defeat all enemies and cross over to battle. However, it was inevitable that a dark horse would appear and kill the prince. Cross over to battle, and become the elite of the elites. These things were not told to everyone by the Boundary Emperor. Only those who were fated to discover them would be able to do so. Yi Qinghan was transported to a mountainous area. The surrounding scenery was similar. When he looked up, he saw a blazing sun hanging in the sky. It didn't move at all, as if it was forbidden. It was impossible to tell the direction. Screech! The goshawk missed and grabbed a green bird. It tore it apart and swallowed it. Blood splattered on the ground. Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed it. He realized that the blood wasn't real. He flicked his finger and killed the goshawk with a strand of qi. The corpse fell to the ground. When he grabbed it again, he realized that it was also fake. The world here is not real, including the mountains and the water. The human emperor has good methods. This space has been passed down for countless eras and hasn't been destroyed yet. It really makes us feel ashamed. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and stepped into the distance. Boom! A powerful human expert appeared, his soul filled with killing intent. He coldly glanced at Yi Qinghan and smirked as he coldly said, "Give me your life medallion." Roar! Yi Qinghan's reply was the Berserker Hammer. Holding the Berserker Hammer, he stepped forwards and a terrifying will shot out from his eyes as he said calmly, "That's what I wanted to say as well. Give me your life medallion, or I won't hold back. If I kill you, it will be a great loss to the human race." "Brat, I'm not a Qilin. Don't be arrogant in front of me." His eyes flashed with killing intent. Then let's see who's stronger. Berserk Godslayer style. Boom! With a slash of the blade, countless rays of blade light rushed into the clouds and disappeared. The expert was shocked. He cursed inwardly and fled into the distance. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan used the stellar transposition technique and appeared in front of him. He slashed out with his saber and sliced through the clouds, directly injuring his opponent's soul. Yi Qinghan made a grabbing motion and pulled the opponent into his palm. He coldly said, "I don't want to kill humans. Don't force me. Give me your life medallion." The expert was at the Immortal Gate realm. Unfortunately, he did not understand the law of space. He could not dodge Yi Qinghan's attack and his life token was stuck in his throat. The difference between them was too great. He had no choice but to summon his life token and give it to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan grabbed the life token and took a few steps back. As he watched his opponent disappear, he flipped his palm and the life token disappeared. He turned around and charged into the distance. The giant tribe was a branch of the human race. They were born with the Fate Palace realm and were abnormally strong. However, there were too few of them and they could only rely on the human race to survive. The giant tribe's supreme king, Jiang Heng, was comparable to a crown prince in battle. He was the strongest in Yi Qinghan's battle zone and was one of the experts favored by the Boundary Emperor. It was hoped that he would be able to kill everyone in an instant. At this moment, he was on the opposite side of Yi Qinghan. He could kill Immortal Gate experts with a single attack. Boom, boom, boom. Jiang Heng, who was almost 3 meters tall, killed more than 10 experts of the 10,000 races in a row and forced dozens of human experts to hand over their life tokens. In the north and south, there were also 2 experts from the Sage Monarch tribe. They killed anyone they saw and attacked their souls with great force. They did not give the humans a chance to escape. Some people even voluntarily handed over their life tokens, but they were still killed in an instant. It was incomparably cruel. For people, for directions, but all of them were closing in on the center. There were at least 100,000 people in each battle region, and after 2 hours, at least 5,000 people had been eliminated. The experts could sense that Yi Qinghan's 4 experts were no match for them, and they started to form teams. They wanted to kill these 4 experts first before fighting amongst themselves. They didn't care about their races, and they temporarily forgot about their grudges as they all pounced towards the 4 experts. Each of them was a dragon among men. Once they joined forces, they were incomparably strong and unstoppable. Those who did not join the teams fled, unwilling to fight against them. There were at least dozens of people in each team. A single attack from each person could kill a crown prince. They could fight against a crown prince. Yi Qinghan killed hundreds of experts in a row, and was temporarily ranked 3rd in this battle zone. He became famous in one battle. With his great martial venerable realm cultivation, he could kill the souls of immortal gate experts. It was undeniably terrifying. Outside Emperor Abyss City, the quasi-emperors searched for suitable experts of the younger generation and prepared to nurture them. Everyone hoped to nurture a true emperor to be recorded in history. The battle prowess of Yi Qinghan in the 45th district is indeed not bad. He killed hundreds of kings of a race as a great martial venerable. Unfortunately, his cultivation is too low and cannot fight against Jiang Heng and the other two. Otherwise, he could really fight against those of a higher realm. The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor was slightly stunned as he stared at Yi Qinghan. He realized that there was a faint dragon's might in his soul, and could not help but pay more attention to him. Yes, otherwise, the human race would definitely have another super genius. Even if he could not prove his Tao, he could still become a quasi-emperor. Xiaqin Tian sighed. Time waits for no man. This kind of situation has happened to countless people. Such a genius is destined to become a stepping stone for true experts. The giant quasi-emperor was proud, confident that Jiang Heng could sweep through the entire region and fight across realms. Quickly look at Emperor Yi. This little girl is the best candidate to become a martial emperor. Unfortunately, she relies too much on Yi Qinghan, and is not willing to take us quasi-emperors as her master. What a pity! Zhang Yunxiao said excitedly as he looked at the 60th district. When he saw Emperor Yi sweep through everything and kill an early-stage immortal gate expert with just a strand of zither music, he could not help but say excitedly. Chapter 264. Within District 60, Emperor Yi had transformed into a zither and was sweeping through the battlefield. With a wave of his jade-like hands, he sliced through the void and destroyed the souls of his opponents. Emperor Yi's battle record stunned many quasi-emperors and false emperors. Within the battle zone, regardless of whether he encountered a prince or a king who was invincible among his peers, he killed them all with a single strike. In the end, everyone joined forces to attack him. However, numbers were nothing to Emperor Yi. Only a true king with the battle prowess of a single soldier could stop him. Ren Huangyi, you've gone too far. Dozens of experts blocked Ren Huangyi's path and rebuked him angrily. How am I going too far? This is a golden age. Do you really expect me to be merciful? The weak are destined to be the stepping stones of the strong. Even if I don't take your life medallions, someone else will. Emperor Yi's aura was captivating. He stood there like a zither, ready to unleash a terrifying attack at any moment. Everyone was stunned and speechless. What Ren Huangyi said was extremely true. The weak were destined to be stepping stones. Ren Huangyi had a sense of propriety in his attacks. Unless the other party had the intention to kill, he would not kill them at all. He would only injure them and seize their life tablets. For other cultivators, he would kill them without holding back at all. With the 30 of us working together, even an imperial prince would have to stand aside, let alone a little girl who's still wet behind the ears. Everyone attacked together. Let's beat back one of our competitors first. One of the sage monarchs stepped forward, a heaven-sundering divine sword appearing in his hand. He took the lead and attacked Emperor Yi. Boom. With one person attacking, the others all attacked, surrounding Emperor Yi tightly. Divine light filled the sky and surged into the starry river. Not far from the center of the battlefield, a young shape-shifting warrior smirked as he looked down at the battlefield. His gaze locked onto Ren Huangyi as he muttered to himself, I'll let both of you suffer first. Ren Huangyi, I'll kill you so that you won't be able to escape from the endless space. It can be considered as revenge for second brother. This shape-shifting expert was an expert from the Qilin tiger race, and his name was Qilin Shi. He was extremely intelligent and had unparalleled battle prowess. The key was that he wasn't considered strong and liked to launch sneak attacks. Although he was only at the 7th level of the Immortal Gate, he had killed experts of the 9th level of the Immortal Gate before. Emperor Yi shifted his position and appeared outside the encirclement of the crowd. His body turned into a giant guqin, and divine light shone as he ruthlessly pulled the 9 strings, one arrow after another, and the 9 arrows combined into one. His aura soared through the galaxy, and the earth cracked. Emperor Yi attacked with all his might, and his momentum was unstoppable. Buzz buzz buzz, boom boom boom. The divine arrow pierced through the air and shot toward the crowd. Not good. Behind you. Everyone roared and joined forces to attack the divine arrow. Waves of energy overflowed into the heavens, and the earth shook. Even the space became somewhat unstable. Ding. The power of 30 kings was terrifying. They turned into a golden dragon, and collided with the divine arrow. Boom. The two attacks fiercely collided. The divine arrow was unstoppable. It shattered the golden dragon and swooped down toward the crowd. Everyone's pupils constricted as they sucked in a breath of cold air. They directly threw out the weapons in their hands, hoping to block the aftershock of the divine arrow. However, the divine arrow was an attack from the moon-chasing 9 arrows explosion technique. Its speed was extremely fast, and its power was 1,000,000 times stronger. Just the aftershock alone was enough to shatter the weapons. The energy wave heavily injured the souls of all the experts, and their life tokens fell to the ground. The 30 invincible kings had already killed a few people, so they had more than 10 life tokens in their hands. Just like that, Emperor Yi obtained close to 500 life tokens in one move, becoming the #1 existence in the 60th district. Qilin Shi's mouth twitched. He was also shocked by Emperor Ye's battle prowess. This had already surpassed the battle prowess of an imperial prince, right? He wanted to retreat in his heart. Emperor Ye's divine sense swept across thousands of miles. With a flash of light, he collected all the life tokens and instantly appeared in front of Qilin Shi. His eyes were dazzling as he said in a low voice, "Give me your life tokens." "Humph, you ignorant little girl. Go away. I don't want to fight with you for now," Qilin Shi said coldly. "Experts of the Qilin tiger race, I don't have much patience for you. Give me your life tokens." Emperor Yi frowned and said majestically, "Die." Qilin Shi suddenly attacked. A giant chain wrapped around the sky and wrapped around Emperor Yi. It kept shrinking, wanting to strangle him to death. Emperor Ye's lips curled into a disdainful smile. He raised his right hand slightly, and the power of heaven and earth was forcefully pulled over. It turned into a hand blade that slashed towards the chain. Extreme Dao sky-severing hand. Boom. The hand blade pierced through the clouds like a divine weapon. It slashed the chain and shattered it. The hand blade tore through space and appeared above Qilin Shi's head. Qilin Shi roared and flew back crazily. However, the hand blade was so fast that he couldn't dodge. It directly pierced through his body, causing his soul to shatter. Emperor Ye's palms trembled. A divine zither appeared in his hands. His 10 fingers played the 9 strings. The zither music was vast and mighty, completely wiping out Qilin Shi's soul. More than 300 life tokens fell. Qilin Shi's soul didn't escape either. It was completely destroyed. Emperor Yi didn't hesitate. He took the life tokens and stepped into the distance again. Now everyone had 10 to 100 life tablets. Some super strong cultivators had already collected hundreds or even thousands of life tablets. Ren Huangyi was a top-notch existence. He had more than 1,300 life tablets and was ranked 12th in the overall battle zone. Yi Qinghan was in the 45th battle zone. After eliminating more than 100 experts and obtaining more than 300 life tokens, he was stopped by a group of people. "Yi Qinghan, give us your life tokens and leave the boundless space. We won't make things difficult for you," a human king said in a muffled voice. Boom. He attacked crazily again. The blade light pierced through space and cut through the opponent's neck in the blink of an eye. Yi Qinghan took the life token as soon as it appeared. The opponent's soul gradually dissipated. Before he was eliminated, his eyes were full of shock and disbelief. Swish, 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 boom, boom, boom. Seeing Yi Qinghan's strength, the crowd didn't say anything else. They crazily attacked Yi Qinghan. Divine light and sword light interweaved, causing the ground to sink and sink. 9 Heavens Tyrant Dragon Art. First style. Dragon tail annihilating mountains and rivers. Or 100 Zhong long golden dragon appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The huge dragon tail accompanied by a heaven-defying will shattered everyone's Dao hearts. Oh my god! What kind of damned secret art is this? The crowd roared and poured out their zhenyuan. Dozens of people joined hands to form a huge defensive barrier, hoping to block the attack of the dragon tail. Boom! The dragon tail smashed onto the defensive barrier, suppressing everyone. The ground cracked and collapsed for dozens of meters. Dozens of experts felt as if they were being pressed down by the heavens. Their legs broke as they knelt on the ground. The aura of death was descending. Second style, Tyrant Dragon Sky-Shattering Roar. The golden dragon coiled and opened its mouth, wanting to devour the heavens. The heaven and earth spirit chi flowed in reverse, forming a huge chi flow collision. It was incomparably terrifying. Roar. A boundless emperor's aura spread out, and the dragon's roar suppressed everyone's Dao hearts. Many people coughed out blood and fell to the ground. Their life tokens appeared and their souls were immediately transported out of the boundless space. Buzz, 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 everyone felt as if their souls were about to explode. They could be killed by this dragon roar at any moment. Their expressions changed drastically. Without thinking, they threw out their life tokens. The boundless space rapidly squeezed everyone out of it. The aftershock of the roar sunk the ground and rushed into the clouds. Outside the boundless space, dozens of people coughed out blood and their souls turned pale. They fainted on the spot. If they had been a step slower, they would have been killed by Yi Qinghan. The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor was shocked. He was stunned by Yi Qinghan's technique. This is the dragon race's secret art, the Nine Heavens Tyrant Dragon technique. It has been lost for more than 30,000 years. How could he have the chance to cultivate it? How could a human cultivate the dragon race's Dao technique? The Azure Dragon race suddenly stood up and stared at the 14th and 15th zones. Looking at the first two styles of the Nine Heavens Tyrant Dragon technique, his dragon blood was boiling. After all, he was a quasi-emperor and the Nine Heavens Tyrant Dragon technique was a secret art of the dragon race. He had seen it almost once and felt as if he had comprehended something. At this moment, the Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor no longer paid attention to other spaces. No matter how strong the young experts were, they could not attract his attention. He only wanted to not miss Yi Qinghan using the Nine Heavens Tyrant Dragon technique. The Nine Heavens Tyrant Dragon technique has 3 styles. I wonder if he has completed the 3rd style? The Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor was incomparably shocked. Yi Qinghan took a large number of life tablets and continued to move towards the center. He was getting closer and closer to the giant races Jiang Heng and the Sage Monarch race. A true battle was about to break out. Fortunately, the battle zone was large enough that the experts had to fight and slow down. Otherwise, the battle would have already begun. Each battle zone was extremely cruel. Each zone had 3 to 5 imperial princes. However, their realms were different and their battle prowess was different. Some were destined to become stepping stones. Some were even destined to die without a corpse. In the 99 zones, Heaven's Equal Monkey King was the strongest. He swept his way through with extreme speed and killed without a word. He wanted to be the first realm crosser. The first realm crosser would definitely be rewarded. As for what it was, no one knew. However, the human emperor would not be stingy when he took action. Boom. A human quasi-emperor's son was killed by Heaven's Equal Monkey King. Even his soul did not escape. His death shocked many quasi-emperors. 3,000 life tablets, 5,000. Heaven's Equal Monkey King's life tablets were increasing rapidly. He only targeted super experts. Those people had hundreds or even thousands of life tablets. Killing one of their quasi-emperor's sons was equivalent to killing 1,000 elites. As long as he collected more than 50,000 life tablets, no one would be able to surpass him. The path to the realm crosser would appear in front of Heaven's Equal Monkey King. Boom. There was another imperial prince in the 99 zone. It was an expert from the Cancer tribe. It had evolved into its true form and had long pincers that were as tough as immortal sect weapons. It was fine if it did not move, but once it moved, it would cause the heavens and earth to collapse. At this moment, it had killed more than 300 experts and obtained 5,000 life tablets. It was second only to Heaven's Equal Monkey King. Heaven's Equal Monkey King stared at the name on the life tablet and revealed a cold smile. He quickly rushed in a direction. As long as he killed the expert from the Cancer tribe, Heaven's equal Monkey King would complete his first mission, the Realm Crosser. He would obtain the opportunity left behind by the human emperor and establish a firm foundation for his future Tao. Yi Qinghan was reminded by the divine martial imperial code. Naturally, he knew that being the first realm crosser had a unique advantage. Moreover, the rewards were very impressive and were enough to make pseudo-emperors drool. If he was lucky, he might even be able to obtain a Tier 8 or Tier 9 divine elixir. I want to be the first realm crosser. As long as I kill the top 10 in the 45th zone, I will be able to obtain 50,000 life tablets. If I kill more than half of the cultivators in this zone, I will be the first realm crosser. Yi Qinghan was determined. He did not want to waste any more time, and directly rushed to the center of the zone. Those with a strong foundation knew that being the first realm crosser had a reward that would make the imperial prince drool. None of them were willing to let go of this reward, and wanted to be the first realm crosser. Everyone was boiling with murderous intent. The weak were either eliminated or had their souls destroyed. It was extremely cruel. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.